In the last letter of The Lost Princess, adventurous historian Lydia uncovers a hidden legacy that intertwines with her own quest for truth. The story weaves through the challenges she faces as she seeks to honor the complexities of a legendary figure whose life was filled with courage and betrayal. As Lydia embarks on this thrilling journey, she learns that history is not merely a collection of tales, but a living narrative that shapes the future. Armed with the support of her team, she confronts skeptics, navigates dangerous territories, and holds tightly to her commitment to restore the princess's story to its rightful place in history. Join Lydia as she navigates the fragile boundaries of trust and discovery, forging new alliances and inspiring her community to reclaim a shared past. In a world where truths can be easily lost, her daring quest unfolds, leaving readers eager to explore the depths of history and the essence of human connection that transcends time. Will Lydia succeed in her mission, or will the shadows of the past challenge her resolve? Discover the secrets waiting to be unveiled in this captivating tale, where every heartbeat echoes with the promise of adventure.
Chapter 1. The Last Letter of the Lost Princess. Lydia stood in the dimly lit library, surrounded by dusty shelves filled with ancient manuscripts. The familiar fragrance of aged paper enveloped her as she meticulously dusted off an old manuscript, her fingers tracing the delicate lettering. She spoke softly to herself, reciting a passage about the lost princess, losing herself in the poetic descriptions that echoed centuries of history. As she immersed herself deeper into her world, she overheard the chatter of nearby patrons and the soft rustle of pages being turned. The comforting sounds of the library filled the air, blending with her whispered words. With each passing moment, her determination grew stronger. This place was a sanctuary, where countless stories awaited discovery, and Lydia felt like a guardian of these forgotten tales. She glanced around, noting piles of texts and the unique artifacts scattered across tables, remnants of those who had come before her. The thought that she might someday contribute to this world ignited an insatiable curiosity within her. Taking a moment to breathe in the significance of her surroundings, she nodded to herself, as if to affirm that her journey was just beginning. Today, she would uncover more than just words. She would breathe life back into history. Lydia returned home, her head swimming with thoughts of the ancient manuscripts she had just been studying. The moment she stepped through the door, her father's voice met her, echoing through the halls. "You must stop drowning in those old books and take a breath, Lydia," he said, emotion lacing every word as he paced. She offered him a smile, trying to ease the tension as she placed her bag down. The weight of his expectations pressed on her, creating a familiar discomfort. "Father, you know how important this is to me," she replied, her voice rising slightly as she gestured toward the stack of notes in her arms. He looked at her with concern, the lines on his forehead deepening as he reminded her, "It's time for you to think about your future, not just old stories." Frustration bubbled within her, wanting to scream that her dreams were equally important, if not more so. But she took a breath instead, determined to remain composed. With her father's disappointment hanging in the air, she shifted the conversation. "I'm presenting my findings at the society later this week. I need your support." Lydia took a deep breath, deciding to change the subject as she observed her father's furrowed brow. She spoke with enthusiasm. "I found some new leads about the lost princess and her hidden treasures." Her father paused, his curiosity igniting momentarily before he expressed skepticism. "Are you sure this leads anywhere, or is it just another wild story?" Despite the doubt in his voice, Lydia pressed on. "I think it's more than just a story. The connections are intriguing, and I believe I'm on the right path." She turned to face him, her eyes shining with conviction, hoping to invite him into her world, to see her passion for what it truly was. He softened his stance, but the concern remained. "Lydia, I want you to be cautious. You can't just chase dreams without considering reality." His words stung, but she remained resolute. "I'm not just chasing dreams. I'm trying to uncover the truth of our history, something that matters." For a moment, the room fell silent as Lydia fought to keep her composure, refusing to let self-doubt creep in. Lydia felt a pang of frustration as she watched her father's concern transform into more doubt. Perhaps it's just best if you focus on finding a suitable match instead of going down a rabbit hole of myths, he suggested, his tone laced with authority. For a fleeting moment, the idea made her heart sink. The thought of sacrificing her passions for someone else's expectations felt like a betrayal to herself. "I can't just let go of this," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt inside. "History is where my heart is." Her father's eyes softened with a mix of understanding and worry. "I worry that you'll end up getting hurt, or worse, embarrassed." "Sometimes you have to take risks to find what truly matters," she asserted, a flicker of determination igniting within her. As she spoke, she could feel the weight of her dreams settling in her chest, driving her to stand firm against his expectations. Lydia turned away, frustration brewing inside her as she gathered her thoughts. She couldn't let her father's fears dictate her choices any longer. Taking a deep breath, she stepped to the window, gazing out at the bustling street, the possibility of adventure flickering just beyond her reach. With newfound resolve, she silently vowed to herself that she would prove her worth, not just to her father, but to the world. "Maybe I can find a way to balance my passion and what you want for me," she called back to him, her voice firm as she turned. His expression softened, and for a moment, Lydia saw a flicker of pride amid the worry. Perhaps there was hope for understanding after all. With a sense of determination swirling inside her, Lydia gathered her research materials, ready to take the next step in her journey. As she crossed the threshold of her home, the familiar warmth felt distant, like a comforting blanket she was reluctantly leaving behind. Outside, the sun bathed the street in golden light, illuminating the path ahead, filled with possibilities and unknowns. Each step felt heavier with the weight of expectations, but Lydia reminded herself that every great adventure began with a leap of faith. She paused at the gate, taking a moment to look back at the comforting haven she had known all her life. With a deep breath, she turned away, a newfound sense of purpose igniting within her. This was her time to uncover the truth, and she would not let anything hold her back. Chapter 2: The Hidden Chamber. Lydia stepped into the bustling streets of the town, the air thick with the sounds of vendors shouting and the aroma of freshly baked bread wafting through the air. She felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with nervousness as she navigated her way through the crowd, each passerby bustling with purpose. The marketplace was a different world from the quiet confines of her home, each corner offering new sights and opportunities that made her heart race. Determined, she moved toward the local archives, a place filled with the potential for discovery that lurked just beyond the walls. She could see the archives up ahead, its door inviting yet imposing, and she took a moment to gather her resolve as she approached. Once inside, the familiar scent of old paper enveloped her, awakening her passion, and Lydia reminded herself of her purpose: to uncover the truth hidden in history. As Lydia entered the archives, she was greeted by rows of bookshelves lined with tomes of varying sizes and ages, each holding stories waiting to be uncovered. She moved through the aisles, her fingers brushing against the spines of books filled with dusty knowledge, feeling the thrill of anticipation coursing through her veins. Upon reaching her favorite section on historical myths and legends, she pulled out a few volumes, eager to find connections that might lead her to the truth about the lost princess. Lydia settled into a cozy nook, sunlight streaming through a nearby window, illuminating her workspace as she opened the first book, eager to absorb every word. Lost in her research, she scribbled notes and cross-referenced passages, her mind racing as theories began to form around the fragments of history she was uncovering. The bustling sounds of the town faded away, replaced by the quiet hum of discovery. This was where she felt most alive, on the brink of uncovering something monumental. As Lydia immersed herself in the pages, she suddenly heard footsteps approaching her table, breaking the silence she had so thoroughly enjoyed. Looking up, she recognized Oliver, a fellow scholar with a penchant for challenging her ideas, standing with a grin on his face. "Lost in your own world again, Lydia? Don't forget to take a breath once in a while," he teased, leaning against a nearby shelf. "Some of us are trying to uncover history," she shot back playfully, setting down her notes as he pulled a chair to join her. Oliver glanced at the books spread before her, curiosity piqued. What have you got there? Secrets of the past? Or just more fairy tales? Lydia felt a surge of excitement, eager to share her findings. These fairy tales might hold the key to the lost princess's truth. You'd be surprised what the legends can reveal. Their dialogue danced between camaraderie and rivalry, solidifying Lydia's commitment to pursuing her research with passion and confidence. Lydia explained her theories with enthusiasm, pointing to passages that connected the princess's story to significant historical events. Look here, the clues suggest that she was more than just a royal. She played a pivotal role in the kingdom's transformation. Oliver leaned closer, intrigued by her passion and dedication. That's a bold claim, but what evidence do you have to support it? Feeling challenged yet eager, Lydia flipped through the pages, her fingers tracing the highlighted texts. These accounts detail her interactions with key figures, suggesting influence over royal decisions. Oliver contemplated, nodding appreciatively but not fully convinced. It's fascinating, but we still need concrete evidence. Legends can turn into elaborate myths. Their playful banter fueled Lydia's determination even further. She knew that uncovering tangible proof would require both intellect and resourcefulness. Let's dig deeper. We'll need to connect with more historians and gather evidence from both sides, she suggested, determined to prove the legends true. As Lydia and Oliver discussed the necessary steps to gather evidence, the weight of their task settled in. First, we need to reach out to that historian in the next town. He might have access to documents we can't get here, Oliver suggested, scribbling notes furiously. Lydia nodded, feeling the excitement pulse through her veins. And we should connect with any local elders who might remember stories passed down through generations. It could be vital. Oliver paused, looking thoughtful. I love the enthusiasm, but we have to be careful about who we trust. Not everyone will appreciate our quest for truth. Lydia felt a flicker of apprehension. This reminder of vulnerability in their pursuit hadn't escaped her. We'll need to vet our sources carefully. Let's be strategic about it. The conversations veered between optimism and caution, underscoring the complexity of their mission as they prepared to navigate uncertainty. In that moment, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose. She was ready to embrace the challenges ahead, equipped with knowledge and determination. With a plan starting to take shape, Lydia felt a sense of urgency wash over her as they prepared to set their ideas into motion. Let's meet at dawn tomorrow to begin our journey. The sooner we start, the better, she said, her determination spilling into her voice. Oliver looked up, a hint of excitement in his eyes. I'll gather the supplies we'll need for our trip, and I can start drafting a list of questions for the historian. Perfect. And I'll see if I can connect with the elders before we leave, Lydia responded, feeling the adrenaline surge through her. As they wrapped up their plans and exchanged affirmations, Lydia couldn't shake the reality of what lay ahead. Somewhere deep within, she felt exhilarated yet anxious about what they might encounter on their quest. We're in this together, she reassured Oliver, feeling the bond of partnership strengthen as they aligned their pursuits for the journey. Stepping away from the table, she felt ready for whatever challenges lay ahead, embracing the excitement of the unknown with confidence. Chapter 3: The Unraveling Secrets. As dawn broke, Lydia felt the cool morning air brush against her skin, awakening a sense of anticipation for the journey ahead. She stood outside her home, ready with her packed bags slung over her shoulder, glancing at the glowing horizon painted with soft hues of orange and pink. With each passing moment, excitement coursed through her veins, igniting the spark of adventure she longed for as she took a deep breath. When Oliver arrived, he was visibly alert, clutching a list of supplies and a small bundle of provisions. I hope I remembered everything, he said, eyes darting around as if to confirm he hadn't forgotten any vital equipment. Let's check our bags before we leave. The last thing we want is to find ourselves unprepared, Lydia replied, feeling a blend of eagerness and the weight of their mission pressing against her. As they conducted their final checks, the sun fully emerged, illuminating the path ahead, casting a golden glow on their aspirations and setting the tone for a day filled with potential. After ensuring they had everything they needed, Lydia and Oliver set off, the rhythmic crunch of gravel beneath their boots echoing in the quiet morning. As they walked, the vibrant colors of daybreak welcomed them, instilling a sense of purpose in their stride. Lydia felt the thrill of embarking on her quest, but uncertainty lurked in the back of her mind, reminding her of the challenges they could face. "I've been thinking about the elders we're planning to meet," she said, breaking the silence, her voice tinged with excitement. "Their stories could be crucial in connecting the dots." Oliver nodded, glancing ahead. "I hope we can find someone willing to share. Many don't trust outsiders." The thought made Lydia uneasy. She understood how skepticism could complicate their mission. "We'll approach them respectfully and emphasize our intentions to honor the history. We're not here to take, but to learn," she reassured him, her resolve crystallizing as they moved forward. They arrived at the quaint village, where friendly faces greeted them amidst the lively sounds of chatter and the scent of freshly baked goods. Lydia's heart raced with excitement as she took in the vibrant market filled with colorful stalls, each offering a treasure trove of local goods and stories waiting to be discovered. "Let's start by visiting the community center. The elders might convene there," she suggested, pointing toward a charming building at the edge of the square. As they approached, Lydia noticed a group of villagers gathered outside, sharing stories, laughter weaving through the air like music. "Let's introduce ourselves and see if we can speak with someone knowledgeable," she encouraged, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. With every step closer, Lydia felt the weight of her purpose strengthen. This was not just a quest for knowledge. It was about preserving the stories of her heritage. Upon reaching the community center, Lydia and Oliver approached an elderly woman sitting on a bench, her eyes sparkling with tales of old. "Good morning. We're looking to hear about the history of the princess and any local legends," Lydia said, her voice steady and inviting. The woman regarded them thoughtfully, assessing their intentions before replying. "Many have come seeking our stories, only to take without giving back." Feeling the skepticism, Lydia leaned closer, her sincerity shining through. "We want to honor these stories. We believe they deserve to be shared and preserved." The woman's expression softened slightly, intrigued by Lydia's passion. "If you truly wish to listen, you must first prove you're here for the right reasons." Lydia nodded, understanding the importance of trust in this community. She was ready to demonstrate her commitment to their shared history. Lydia took a deep breath, committing to earning the elderly woman's trust. "If you share your stories with us, we promise to honor them and help spread the word about the princess's legacy," she declared, sincerity lacing her voice. The woman studied her for a moment, the weight of history resting heavily on her shoulders. "Many have twisted the past for their own gain. Why should I believe you will be different?" she asked, a challenge hidden within her words. Lydia met her gaze, determination shining brightly in her eyes. "Because I believe in the power of truth, and I want to ensure that the princess's story is remembered as it truly was." The woman's lips curled into a faint smile, intrigued by Lydia's passionate response. "Very well. I will share the tales, but remember, they come with the responsibility to uphold their integrity." As the woman began to recount the tales of the lost princess, Lydia listened intently, every word weaving a tapestry of history that brought the past to life. The woman spoke of a time when the kingdom was united under the princess's wisdom, detailing both her triumphs and the struggles she faced. Her heart was as fierce as it was kind. She bridged divides that others thought insurmountable, the woman said, her voice filled with emotion. Lydia felt each story resonate within her, igniting her passion for the truth and the importance of preserving such narratives for future generations. "Thank you for sharing this with me. It feels like a hidden part of my own history now," Lydia replied, the weight of the knowledge filling her with purpose. As the conversation flowed, Lydia recognized that this moment not only solidified her commitment to uncovering the truth, but also enriched her understanding of the princess's legacy. Chapter 4: The Unexpected Allies. As Lydia stepped out of the community center, the stories of the princess echoed in her mind, weaving through her thoughts like a captivating melody. She felt invigorated yet contemplative, the weight of responsibility resting heavily on her shoulders as she understood the significance of what had been shared. With Oliver by her side, they made their way through the bustling marketplace, where vendors shouted greetings and customers bartered for fresh produce. "Did you see the way she lit up while talking about the princess? You have a gift for drawing out those stories," Oliver remarked, admiration evident in his voice. Lydia smiled, grateful for the support, but still processing the emotional weight of the tales. "It felt like I was connecting with something much larger than myself," she said, her gaze lingering on the vibrant stalls around them. Determined to bring those stories to life, Lydia began to formulate a plan for how they could integrate the new knowledge into their research. As they traversed the marketplace, Lydia's mind raced with ideas for how to share the princess's legacy with the community. "Let's propose a series of workshops or presentations. We can invite locals to share their stories as well," she suggested, excitement igniting her voice. Oliver nodded enthusiastically. "And we could create a display to highlight the artifacts we've uncovered. It would draw attention to the history of the princess." The thought of involving the community energized Lydia, visualizing how collective stories could enrich their understanding of the past. "Exactly. If we combine our findings with local tales, we'll create a more comprehensive narrative," she replied, her determination rising as they strategized. As they plotted their course, Lydia caught sight of a familiar face from the Scholars' Haven, a trusted historian who had previously shared insights with them. "Let's talk to her about collaborating. Her network could help amplify our efforts," Lydia proposed, recognizing the potential for building stronger alliances. Lydia and Oliver approached the historian, a distinguished woman with a reputation for deep knowledge of local legends and hidden truths. "Excuse me, Dr. Atwood," Lydia called out, her enthusiasm bubbling over as the woman turned to face them, curiosity dancing in her eyes. "I've been following your work, and I believe our discoveries about the lost princess could resonate with your research," Lydia continued, eager to establish a connection. Dr. Atwood raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What have you found that you think could enhance our understanding of her story?" Lydia shared their discoveries and the newfound insights from the elders, highlighting the potential for collaboration that could enrich both their endeavors. Dr. Atwood listened intently, her expression shifting to one of thoughtful consideration as she weighed the implications of Lydia's findings on broader historical narratives. Dr. Atwood nodded slowly, considering the implications of Lydia's words. This could indeed bridge gaps in the existing narratives, she mused, her eyes lighting up with possibilities. Lydia felt a surge of hope. That glimmer of approval ignited her determination to forge this alliance. "But," Dr. Atwood continued, a serious tone entering her voice, "we must ensure we approach this research with integrity, especially given the sensitive nature of the princess's legacy." Lydia responded earnestly, "I completely agree. We need to honor her story and ensure it is told accurately." The conversation deepened, and Lydia sensed their shared commitment to preserving history, solidifying a partnership that would not only enhance their quests, but also elevate her own sense of purpose within the academic community. Lydia felt the excitement building as Dr. Atwood continued discussing potential paths forward. "I can connect you with others in the field who may have insight into forgotten aspects of her story. Collaboration can lead us to richer conclusions," Dr. Atwood offered, her tone enthusiastic yet measured. "Thank you. That would be invaluable. It's essential we leave no stone unturned," Lydia responded, appreciating the historian's willingness to support their mission. As they exchanged contact information, Lydia's mind raced with new possibilities, visualizing how each connection could enhance their understanding of the princess's legacy. Yet, she could sense caution in the air. Other historians in the society were not always open to new ideas, and she would need to navigate that landscape carefully. This moment underscored her responsibility as a leader. Lydia was now actively seeking alliances that could shape their journey, reinforcing her resolve to honor the truth of the past. With the meeting ending, Lydia and Oliver stepped outside, the excitement from their discussions still lingering in the air. Lydia looked at the sky, noting the sunlight illuminating the path ahead, feeling invigorated by the potential for discovery. "Today went better than I expected," she admitted, glancing at Oliver, who smiled back with genuine enthusiasm. Definitely. I think we might be onto something important, he replied, nodding in agreement as they began to walk back through the marketplace. As they meandered past vendors calling out with lively enthusiasm, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her earlier doubts seemed to fade. Yet she was also acutely aware of the challenges they would face. Not everyone would welcome the revelations they intended to pursue. That thought anchored her resolve, reminding Lydia that their mission was not merely about discovery, but also about challenging norms and forging a path that honored their commitment to history. Chapter 5, The Test of Trust. Lydia arrived at the town square early the next day, anticipation simmering as she prepared to meet the local elders. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the cobblestones, stirring the bustling activity around her. She spotted a small group of elderly villagers gathered near a fountain. Their animated conversations intertwined with laughter and stories from days long past. Taking a moment, Lydia approached with humility, her heart racing as she prepared to navigate the complexities of their individual histories. "Excuse me," she began, engaging the group with a friendly smile. "I'm here to learn about the stories of the past, especially those about the lost princess. Would any of you be willing to share?" The elders looked at her curiously, their expressions a blend of intrigue and skepticism, revealing the initial contrasts in their willingness to engage. The eldest among them, a woman with silver hair and wise, knowing eyes, regarded Lydia thoughtfully. "What makes you think we have any stories worth sharing?" she asked, her tone both challenging and cautious. Lydia felt a wave of vulnerability wash over her but took a steady breath, ready to respond. "Because every story carries truth," she replied earnestly, "and understanding those truths is what drives me. I want to honor the legacy of those who came before." The group murmured amongst themselves, considering her words, and Lydia's heart raced, desperate to demonstrate her sincerity to earn their trust. Finally, the elder nodded slowly, intrigued by Lydia's passion, and said, "If you truly seek the truth and not just fame, then perhaps we can share." With a gentle smile, the elder gestured for Lydia to sit as the others shifted, creating space for her among the group. "We have stories, yes, but they come with complexity," the elder began, her voice rich and steady, drawing Lydia in. As she spoke, Lydia listened intently, absorbing details about the princess's life and the challenges she faced, weaving her way through love, betrayal, and resilience. "Many in our town believe she was lost to time, but her spirit lives on in our tales. It is our duty to remember her," the elder continued, showcasing the weight of history that rested on their shoulders. Lydia felt a powerful connection to these stories, the emotions swirling within her as they resonated on a personal level. Her excitement bubbled as she realized these stories intertwined with her mission. It was not just about the past, it was about carrying the truth forward. As the elder continued sharing the tales, Lydia felt a surge of inspiration, realizing that these stories held secrets begging to be uncovered. "Her choices in a world filled with uncertainty can guide us today," the elder stated, her voice firm, grounding the group in the gravity of the princess's legacy. Lydia couldn't help but feel the weight of responsibility. Preserving these stories was not just a task, but a mission she was destined for. "Is there a way we can find more about her decisions?" she asked, eager to delve deeper into the complexities behind the tales, grasping at the threads connecting them. The group exchanged glances, and the elder nodded. "Time may have blurred facts into myths, but we have records. They lie in the archives. A journey awaits if you're brave enough to seek them." Feeling the eyes of the elders upon her, Lydia's heart raced, recognizing this chance as an invitation into a deeper world of history and knowledge she was determined to explore. Lydia felt excitement bubble in her chest at the prospect of journeying to the archives, her mind racing with possibilities. "Let's go now. We must uncover any connections between the artifacts and the princess's story," she urged, glancing at the growing enthusiasm spread across the faces of the elder villagers. The elders exchanged knowing looks, and the oldest one leaned in. "It won't be easy. Many truths are guarded tightly, and some are not meant to be uncovered." Lydia nodded, undeterred by the warning, her resolve growing stronger. "I'm willing to face whatever challenges arise to bring these truths to light. We owe it to her legacy." The elders nodded in agreement, recognizing her determination and commitment to their shared mission, which seemed to resonate with them. With renewed purpose, Lydia rallied the villagers. Gather whatever resources you have. We'll make this a collective effort. Together, we can unearth the stories that need to be told. As the villagers enthusiastically gathered their supplies and shared tales, Lydia felt a warmth grow within her, a sense of unity that invigorated her spirit. She moved among them, coordinating efforts, encouraging everyone to contribute their knowledge and resources toward the task ahead. Let's organize ourselves into teams. Some can head to the archives, while others gather insights from the townsfolk, she instructed, her voice bright with enthusiasm. The villagers buzzed with excitement, quickly sorting themselves into groups, a shift in the atmosphere revealing their resolve and eagerness to participate. As she glanced around, Lydia caught sight of the elder women bustling about, gathering herbs and fabrics, preparing to share local stories about the princess. This moment reinforced her belief in the power of collaboration. Together, they could honor the past while building a richer understanding of their history for the future. Chapter 6, The Choices We Make. Lydia stood at the edge of the village, early morning light casting long shadows as she prepared for the journey ahead. With her bag packed and her heart filled with determination, she glanced back at the bustling square, vibrant with activity and energy from the villagers eager to support her quest. She felt a mix of excitement and apprehension, knowing this adventure would take her far beyond the comforts of home and into the depths of history. Today, we uncover the stories that matter, she reminded herself, a mantra that filled her with courage as she took a deep breath. Turning to Alan, who was adjusting his own pack, she said, "Are you ready for this? We've rallied a lot of support, and it's time to make good on our promise to the princess." With a determined nod, Alan replied, "Let's do this. We'll bring back the truth she deserves." Lydia and Alan walked briskly toward the outskirts of the village, the sun rising steadily as they headed for the nearby forest path. The lively sounds of the village faded as they entered the woods, replaced by the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds, wrapping them in nature's embrace. "Do you remember the stories about the princess that the elders shared?" Lydia asked, her voice echoing slightly in the quiet. "I do. They painted her as a strong leader." Alan replied, his face reflecting the seriousness of their task. "I hope we can uncover what made her story resonate so powerfully." Lydia nodded, determination surging. "We'll find those connections. It's more than just history now. It's about legacy." As they ventured further, Lydia's heart raced with excitement, knowing they were on the brink of uncovering something significant. As they delved deeper into the forest, Lydia noticed the path becoming increasingly rugged, the underbrush thicker, as if nature was challenging their resolve. "Are you sure this is the right way?" Alan asked, scanning the area for any familiar landmarks. Lydia pulled out the map, her confidence wavering slightly as she traced their route with her finger. "Yes, I'm certain. It's just a little further." A sense of urgency surged through her, pushing her to keep moving despite the physical obstacles before them. They stumbled upon a fallen tree, its trunk blocking the path. Without hesitation, Lydia climbed over it, looking back to check on Alain. "Come on, it's just a small hurdle. We can't let a tree stop us now," she encouraged, smiling despite the challenges, her determination infectious. As they pressed on, Lydia felt a slight shift in the atmosphere, a whisper of tension hanging in the air that tugged at her instincts. "Do you feel that?" she asked, glancing at Alain, who was scanning the trees, his expression mirroring her unease. "Yeah, it's different here," he replied cautiously, his earlier excitement subdued as they moved deeper into the woods. When they approached a clearing, Lydia spotted an old stone structure partially hidden by overgrown vines and foliage. "Look at that," she exclaimed, her heart racing with anticipation as she moved closer, excited by the thought that it could be linked to their quest. As she inspected the stones, Alan raised an eyebrow. "This could be a trap or just a ruin. We have to be cautious." Lydia hesitated, the weight of his words weighing heavily on her, yet she felt a strong pull to investigate further. Balancing caution with curiosity, Lydia knelt among the tangled vines, her fingers brushing against the cool stone as she leaned in for a closer look. What if this structure is linked to the princess? We could uncover something significant, she said, excitement bubbling in her chest despite the unease lingering in the air. Alan, hanging back slightly, observed the ruins with caution. We need to make sure it's safe before diving in. I still have a bad feeling about this place. Lydia glanced back at him, the contrast between their reactions evident. I understand the risks, but this could be our chance to find real answers about her story. With determination, she pulled aside the overgrown vines, revealing more of the stone structure and symbols etched into its surface. Stay alert, okay? I want to explore, but I also don't want to put us in danger, she reminded him, her voice steady as she focused on deciphering the markings that could lead to valuable insights. Lydia carefully traced her fingers over the symbols, her mind racing with possibilities as she tried to decipher their meaning. Look at this, she said, excitement bubbling as she pointed out a particular symbol that mirrored one she had seen in the archives. Alan leaned closer, squinting at the stone, a mixture of admiration and apprehension in his gaze. If you're right, this could tell us more about her life and choices than we ever knew. The moment filled Lydia with exhilaration, but it was short-lived as she heard a rustling noise close by, sending a pulse of caution through her. Did you hear that? She whispered, her heart racing as the reality of their vulnerable position became clear. Yeah, let's back away slowly, Alan suggested, his voice low. But Lydia was already pivoting, unwilling to abandon their discovery without gaining as much knowledge as possible. Chapter 7, The Crossroads of Fate. Lydia and Alan carefully made their way back through the dense trees, the earlier excitement of discovery now clouded by the uncertainty of the rustling sounds in the distance. As they moved cautiously, Lydia felt her heart quicken, aware that every step could lead them deeper into unknown dangers. Do you think we should have investigated further? Alan asked, glancing back toward the stone structure with a mix of longing and apprehension. We need to prioritize our safety, Lydia responded, though self-doubt crept into her thoughts, wondering if they had let a significant opportunity slip away too easily. The familiar sense of urgency settled in. They had to regroup, but the desire to uncover more about the princess's story tugged at her. Lydia knew she had to reassess their approach and find a way to safely uncover the mysteries that lay within the forest. Once they reached the safety of the open clearing, Lydia paused to catch her breath and assess the situation. Let's take a moment to reevaluate our strategy, she suggested, looking around to ensure the group was settled and prepared for the next steps. Alan nodded, still visibly tense from their earlier encounter. I agree. We need to be smarter about how we approach the next site. Lydia glanced at the group, noting the fatigue in their eyes, but also the flicker of determination that hadn't faded. Let's regroup and share what we've learned. There's strength in collaboration, she encouraged, her voice steadying the nerves in the air. As they gathered, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose swell within her. Their mission was far from over, and every setback only fueled her ambition to uncover the truth. As the group gathered around Lydia, she sensed a mix of emotions swirling among them: determination, fatigue, and apprehension. Let's start by discussing what we've encountered so far, she prompted, encouraging each member to share their insights. Oliver spoke up first, recounting the observations he made during their exploration, highlighting the layout of the chamber and its potential significance. Those carvings might be linked to rituals. They could uncover truths about the princess's lineage, he explained, sparking intrigue among the others. Diane chimed in, her voice laced with caution, but we must approach this with care. We've seen how fragile our progress can be. Lydia felt the weight of competing perspectives, balancing between Oliver's enthusiasm and Diane's skepticism. Lydia felt the tension in the air as the group discussed their findings, the balance of perspectives adding weight to their mission. Let's not forget our initial goal, to honor the princess's legacy and bring clarity to her story, Lydia reminded them, her voice steady and authoritative. Alan nodded, but she could see the uncertainties flickering in the other's eyes. We can't lose sight of that amidst our discoveries, she added, emphasizing the importance of maintaining their purpose. I agree, but we also need to be realistic about the risks, Diane responded, her tone cautioning against reckless enthusiasm, still grappling with earlier tensions. Lydia took a deep breath, recognizing the challenge of uniting their motivations while navigating the complexities of their venture. Let's create a plan that incorporates both caution and ambition. If we work together and share our insights, we can enhance our understanding of the princess, she proposed, attempting to merge their ideas into a cohesive strategy. As the group began to warm up to Lydia's plan, she noticed a renewed sense of collaboration blooming among them. Let's split up into teams. If we can scout out different areas and gather more information, we'll be better prepared for what lies ahead, she suggested, her eyes sparkling with determination. The team members exchanged eager glances, and enthusiasm began to replace their previous hesitance. Alon jumped in. I can partner with you, Lydia. We'll head back to the chamber and see where things stand. Diane, still slightly skeptical, raised an eyebrow. And what if we encounter more problems there? Shouldn't we tread carefully? Lydia acknowledged her concern with a nod, but this time she felt more resolute. Every exploration has risks, but we also gain knowledge. We can't let fear stop us from uncovering the truth. Her words resonated through the group, and she could sense a collective agreement forming as they strategized, united in their quest to forge ahead. With plans in place, Lydia felt a surge of energy as the group prepared to embark on their next adventure. Meet back here after sundown to share what we've learned, she instructed, her excitement palpable as she moved to rally her team. Each member nodded, their expressions lifting as they embraced the new dynamics of teamwork and collaboration. Let's stay sharp and keep communication open. If anything goes awry, don't hesitate to call for help, Lydia added, her tone firm to emphasize the importance of safety. As they set off in their respective directions, Lydia felt a warmth swell within her. This mission was no longer hers alone. It belonged to them all. Stepping forward with purpose, she acknowledged the challenges ahead, but felt equipped to face them, determined to uncover the truths they sought together. Chapter 8. The Shadows of Doubt. Lydia moved quietly through the dense forest, the sounds of her team fading into the background as she focused intently on her surroundings. The height of the trees loomed above her, creating a canopy that filtered the sunlight into dappled patterns on the forest floor. She took a moment to gather her thoughts, mentally reviewing the legends and stories she had learned about the area, each one bringing her closer to their objective. Keep your eyes peeled. The locals mentioned strange sounds at twilight, she recalled, feeling a blend of excitement and caution coursing through her veins. Just ahead, the ground sloped down, leading toward the ruins where the villagers had indicated she might find more clues about the princess. Lydia felt a rush of determination. This was a chance to unearth fragments of history that could reshape everything they thought they knew. As Lydia approached the ruins, she could see the remnants of ancient stone structures, partially reclaimed by nature, standing defiantly against the passage of time. She felt a wave of awe wash over her, each weathered surface whispering secrets of the past, begging to be uncovered. With determination, she reached out, running her fingers along the cool stone, noticing the carvings that reminded her of the symbols she'd seen earlier in the chamber. Here, this must be significant, she said quietly to herself, making a note in her journal about the intricate patterns. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from behind her, pulling her attention away from the structures. Is someone there? She called out, her heart racing, aware that they were not alone in this secluded place. From the shadows emerged a figure, a young girl with a wary yet curious expression, her eyes darting between Lydia and the ancient ruins. Who are you? The girl asked, her voice trembling slightly, reflecting both fear and intrigue. I'm Lydia, a historian, she replied, crouching down to appear less imposing, wanting to reassure the girl. I'm here to learn about the princess and her stories. The girl hesitated, glancing back at the ruins as if something there held deep significance for her, a connection Lydia couldn't yet perceive. I've heard the stories too. They say the princess still watches over this place, she whispered, her tone shifting to secrecy. Intrigued, Lydia felt a spark of hope. Perhaps the girl held valuable information that could unlock further insights about the princess's legacy. Lydia leaned in closer, captivated by the girl's words. "What do you know about her? Can you tell me?" she asked, her curiosity piqued, her voice filled with urgency and optimism. The girl hesitated, biting her lip as if weighing the decision to share her knowledge. "They say she hid precious secrets deep within the ruins, but only those who are pure of heart can discover them," she finally whispered, her eyes wide with conviction. Intrigued by this possibility, Lydia asked, "How can one prove their heart is pure?" The girl shrugged, glancing at the ruins, the stories translating into something tangible in her own mind. "You have to show respect for the past and listen closely to the whispers of the wind," she replied, her voice laced with a mixture of belief and innocence. Lydia felt an unexpected connection to the girl's words, a stirring sense of purpose awakening within her. "Respecting the past is exactly what I want to do," she said earnestly, inspired by this young voice that encapsulated the essence of their mission. The girl smiled, her initial wariness fading as she sensed Lydia's genuine desire to honor the princess's legacy. "Then you're on the right path," she asserted, confidence building in her tone. "You need to find a way to listen to the past. It will guide you." With her heart racing, Lydia pondered how this child's insight could influence their upcoming exploration. "Thank you for sharing this with me," she said, gratitude swelling in her chest, as the girl seemed to hold a key to understanding the heart of their quest. As the girl stepped back, Lydia felt a sense of urgency grow within her. She couldn't let this moment pass without acting on the insights shared. "Tell me more about what you've heard. Maybe we can uncover these secrets together," she urged, leaning forward, her eyes alight with determination. The girl hesitated, but then began to speak, recounting tales of hidden paths and sacred spots within the ruins, places only the pure-hearted could find. Lydia listened intently, jotting down notes, her mind racing with possibilities, weaving the girl's words into her growing understanding of the princess's story. "Your knowledge is invaluable. This could change everything for us," Lydia said, her gratitude evident as she realized how much power lay in the shared guidance of those connected to the land. Feeling a renewed sense of purpose, Lydia made a promise to herself that she would honor these stories and protect the history they represented as they pressed forward. Chapter 9, The Gathering Storm. Lydia felt the anticipation buzzing in the air as she and her team made their way toward the nearby ruins, a sense of purpose propelling them forward. The path wound through the forest, the sounds of nature surrounding them, heightening the excitement and tension as the ancient stones loomed closer. With each step, Lydia recalled the tales the girl had shared, a mix of hope and fear brewing within her as they approached the entrance to the sacred site. "Once we're inside, we need to be cautious. The last thing we want is to trigger any old defenses," Alon reminded the group, his voice steady but serious. Lydia nodded, internalizing the reminder as they reached the threshold of the ruins, where sunlight broke through the trees, illuminating the entrance like a portal to the past. As they paused at the entrance, she felt the weight of history pressing down, a reminder that their quest was not just about discovery. It was about legacy and responsibility. As they stepped into the ruins, a damp, earthy scent enveloped them, the air thick with the smell of moss and history. The darkness of the interior contrasted sharply with the vibrant forest outside, and Lydia felt a thrill run through her at the thought of the mysteries hidden within. "Stay close and keep your voices low," she instructed, her tone filled with authority, yet tinged with excitement. Alan nodded, glancing around nervously, while the others followed her lead, the tension palpable in the air. As they ventured deeper, Lydia noticed intricate carvings along the walls, faintly illuminated by the sparse light filtering through chinks in the stone. "Look at these," she whispered, pointing out a series of symbols that resembled the ones they had encountered before, her curiosity igniting once more. Lydia examined the carvings closely, running her fingers along the intricate designs, feeling a shiver of excitement as connections began to form in her mind. These markings could tell us about the princess's choices and her relationships with those around her, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Alon leaned in, studying the symbols, his brow furrowed in concentration. If we can decipher their meaning, it might lead us to significant insights about her legacy. The team gathered around her, curiosity piqued as the potential for uncovering meaningful truths sparked a sense of unity among them. "Let's work together. Everyone share what you see. We might find threads connecting everything," Lydia encouraged, motivating her team to engage actively. In this moment, Lydia felt a strong connection with her team. They were united in a common purpose, and she was ready to lead them through the challenges ahead. The group huddled closely, their breaths mingling in the damp air as they shared their observations. "Look here, these symbols seem to represent significant events," Alan pointed out, tracing a path with his finger. Lydia nodded, scanning the carvings for additional clues. With each new symbol connected to an event, the narrative of the princess's life unfolded in front of them. "Each decision she made resonates through time," Lydia said, feeling a profound connection as the pieces began to come together. However, she sensed some hesitation lingering, especially from Diane, who appeared unconvinced. "Are we sure this isn't just a coincidence? We need more to substantiate any claims," she cautioned, her skepticism reflecting a lingering doubt in the air. The moment created a palpable tension. Lydia understood that navigating conflicting perspectives was part of their journey, and she steeled herself to address the doubts head-on. Lydia turned to Diane, her expression resolute, ready to confront the concerns that weighed heavily on the atmosphere. "I understand your doubts, but we need to remain open to the possibilities," she said, her voice steady, echoing the importance of history's complexity. Diane crossed her arms, still unconvinced. "But without concrete evidence, how can we be sure we're not chasing shadows?" Lydia took a moment to gather her thoughts, feeling the weight of leadership settle on her. "Chasing shadows is part of discovery. Many truths remain hidden until we dare to explore them," she articulated passionately. The group listened intently, sensing the depth of Lydia's conviction, which bolstered her credibility. "Let's conduct more research. We can return to the village to gather more stories. They might provide the context we need to strengthen our case," she proposed, highlighting her willingness to adapt to their needs while maintaining focus on their mission. This moment reaffirmed her leadership as she recognized that collaboration would be crucial in overcoming doubts and guiding the team through the uncertainties that lay ahead. As they moved deeper into the chamber, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose sweep over her. "The more history we uncover, the closer we get to the truth. We just need to stay focused," she encouraged, rallying her team as they navigated the intricacies of the space. Alan nodded, determination reflecting in his eyes. "And we'll gather information from the villagers to ensure we complement our findings with their insights." The group exchanged glances, shifting their collective goal toward a more thorough exploration, feeling unity strengthen. "Let's make a list of questions we can ask when we return to the village," Lydia suggested, pulling out her notebook to jot down ideas, reinforcing her role as the organizer. Her assertiveness radiated confidence, and the team responded positively, each member eagerly contributing their thoughts, indicating a collaborative spirit emerging from their earlier tensions. Chapter 10: The Moment of Truth. Lydia stood before the gathered villagers in the town square, their faces a mix of curiosity and skepticism as she prepared to present her findings. With her notes tightly clutched in her hands, she took a deep breath, the weight of her mission pressing on her, but also igniting her resolve. "Thank you all for coming. I'm here to share what we've discovered about the lost princess and the historical significance of her story," she began, her voice steady and confident. The murmurs in the crowd quieted down, eyes turning toward her with a palpable mix of anticipation and doubt. As she laid out the tales of bravery and sacrifice she had uncovered, Lydia noticed some villagers nodding in agreement, while others appeared skeptical, crossing their arms defensively. "Her legacy is intertwined with our history, and it's crucial we remember the truth behind her tale," she urged, hoping to connect with their sense of pride and shared heritage. With each word, Lydia felt the energy shift. This was not just about her quest for knowledge. It was about uniting the community around a common story that deserved to be told. As Lydia spoke, she could see interest flicker in the faces of some villagers, their initial skepticism softening as they leaned in closer, eager to hear more. She shared stories of the princess's courage and the impact she had on her kingdom, her voice building momentum as she painted vivid imagery of the past. Her journey was filled with challenges that tested her strength, just as we face challenges in our lives today, Lydia asserted, drawing parallels that resonated with her audience. A soft voice from the crowd asked, "But how do we know these are true stories? Many tales can be twisted over time." Lydia felt the familiar pinch of doubt but maintained her composure. Every story has a kernel of truth. My goal is to unearth and honor that truth, to weave our narratives together. She sensed a shift among the villagers as they began to mull over her words, some nodding in understanding, while others exchanged glances, weighing their reactions. With each response, Lydia felt more assured, driven to bridge the past with their present, fostering a sense of unity as they shared this journey into history. Encouraged by the villagers' reactions, Lydia pressed on, her heart racing with the thrill of connecting their past to their present. Sharing stories helps us understand who we are as a community and the legacy we leave behind, she continued, her voice steady and passionate. In the crowd, an older man raised a hand, his brow furrowed with skepticism. But is the princess's story really relevant to us now? What can we learn from someone who lived so long ago? Lydia took a deep breath, recognizing a challenge to her narrative, but not backing down. Her struggles resonate with us today. They remind us that integrity, bravery, and collaboration were essential to overcoming challenges. The man nodded slowly, contemplating her words, while others murmured in agreement, indicating that her perspective was starting to take root. Seeing this shift, Lydia pressed forward, ready to dive deeper into the princess's legacy and how it could empower the villagers in their own lives. Each interaction fueled her conviction that the princess's story was not just an echo from the past, but a guiding light for their future. With the mood shifting, Lydia felt emboldened, recognizing the growing interest among the crowd. She glanced at her notes, highlighting an important moment in the princess's life. This is where she faced betrayal from someone she trusted, yet she persevered. That's a lesson we can all take to heart. Lydia's eyes scanned the audience, catching glimpses of understanding and empathy on their faces as they connected with the story. An elderly woman in the front raised her hand, asking, how did she find the courage to move forward despite that betrayal? Feeling the communal pulse of inquiry, Lydia smiled and replied, by surrounding herself with those who believed in her, she turned pain into strength. We can do the same. Supportive murmurs echoed throughout the crowd as she continued, building on the collective energy around her. This beat reinforces Lydia's commitment to the narrative and to each individual in the audience, showcasing how her story could inspire resilience within them all. Lydia's voice resonated with passion, each word weaving a deeper connection between the princess's struggles and the villagers' current lives. We must remember that unity can turn the tides. Just as the princess gathered her allies and confronted her fears, she emphasized, the weight of her message heavy in the air. The crowd had grown silent, fully engaged, their faces reflecting a tapestry of emotions, curiosity, inspiration, and even a glimmer of hope. A young man spoke up from the back. What if we fail, though? What if the risks are too great? Lydia felt the gravity of his question, but did not falter. Every journey carries risks, but choosing to stand together builds strength. I believe we can face any challenges as long as we remain united, she asserted, meeting his gaze with unwavering confidence. Seeing the group begin to nod in agreement bolstered her spirit. They were not just listening, but beginning to believe in the potential for change. This moment solidified Lydia's role as a leader among them, reinforcing her commitment to inspire action and resilience in the face of uncertainty. As Lydia concluded her speech, she felt a wave of determination wash over her, knowing they had sparked something meaningful within the community. Let's not just talk about the past. Let's create a future that honors these stories by keeping them alive, she encouraged, her eyes sweeping across the audience. The villagers began to murmur excitedly, the energy in the square shifting from apprehension to a shared commitment to preserving their heritage. People started to discuss plans for the upcoming exhibition, buzzing with ideas and enthusiasm, each person eager to contribute their insights and resources. Lydia took a step back, observing the transformation of the group. She could see the gradual tightening of bonds among them as they collaborated on the project. This moment solidified her belief that they could forge a stronger, united community through the power of history. And she felt a deep sense of fulfillment as she prepared to lead them in honoring the princess's legacy. Chapter 11. The Shifting Alliances. The sun had begun to set, casting a warm glow over the village as Lydia gathered her team for a preparatory meeting before the exhibition. An air of anticipation filled the room as historians, villagers, and young apprentices took their seats, eager to contribute to the celebration of their shared history. Lydia stood at the front, her notes laid out on the table, feeling the weight of their collective expectations resting on her shoulders. "Thank you all for coming together," she began, her voice steady. "Today marks a pivotal moment for our community as we honor the princess's legacy." As she spoke, she noticed some members exchanging glances. A mix of excitement and anxiety lingered in the air as they prepared to present their findings. The energy was palpable, and Lydia was determined to channel this momentum into a collaborative effort, ensuring everyone felt valued and heard. Lydia looked around the room, eager to engage everyone in discussions of their individual contributions to the upcoming exhibition. "Let's start by sharing what we've all discovered and how we can showcase these insights together," she encouraged, her enthusiasm infectious. One historian spoke up, his voice filled with excitement. "I've uncovered a trove of documents that detail the princess's interactions with local leaders." "Fantastic! Those could provide essential context," Lydia responded, jotting down notes and feeling a surge of gratitude for the team's dedication. Another member, however, interjected cautiously. "But how do we present these findings when so many uncertainties surround her story? What if they lead to more questions than answers?" Lydia felt the tension rise as collective apprehension played across the faces of her team, reminding her that despite their enthusiasm, doubt lingered just beneath the surface. Lydia took a deep breath, focused on stabilizing the conversation as she felt the tension in the air. "Every story has complexities, and acknowledging those uncertainties is part of sharing our history," she replied, her voice firm yet understanding. She glanced at the team, inviting a moment of reflection. "We're not just presenting facts, we're inviting the community to engage with the narrative." The hesitation in the room lingered, but she continued with confidence. "The princess's legacy is a tapestry woven from both triumphs and struggles. It's our job to present it honestly." A supportive silence settled as members processed her words, and Lydia noticed that her conviction inspired some to nod in agreement. This beat emphasized her growing leadership as she navigated the complexities of their mission while encouraging her team to embrace the intricate nature of their findings. Lydia noticed a shift in the group as her words hung in the air, bridging the gaps of uncertainty. A scholar named Thomas finally spoke up, his voice steady. "I believe we can create an exhibition that not only highlights the princess's accomplishments, but also embraces the nuances of her story." His assertion sparked a fresh wave of dialogue among team members, ideas flowing freely as they built off each other's suggestions. Alan chimed in, "We can set up sections dedicated to different aspects of her life, presenting both the good and the challenges she faced." The energy in the room shifted from skepticism to enthusiasm, and Lydia felt buoyed by the collaborative spirit, which began to replace earlier doubts. "Let's compile everyone's ideas and create a cohesive outline for the exhibition," she urged, invigorated by the team's renewed focus and commitment to the princess's legacy. This moment highlighted how Lydia's leadership allowed her team to evolve together, integrating their collective insights into a stronger vision for their shared mission. As discussions continued, Lydia felt a sense of unity as her team members eagerly contributed their ideas and creative solutions. "Let's ensure the presentation is visually engaging, using artifacts and stories to draw in the audience," suggested a young historian, her voice infused with excitement. Lydia nodded, feeling the energy of collaboration spark around her. "Absolutely. We can incorporate interactive elements that invite the community to participate in the storytelling process. The enthusiasm rippled through the group, each member brainstorming ways to elevate the exhibition and truly engage the village's interest. Yet, a voice of caution emerged when Diane stated, "We need to be mindful of how some may react to the princess's complicated legacy. Not everyone will embrace mixed narratives." Lydia paused, processing the insight as a thoughtful silence filled the room, aware that this was an important point to consider. "Thank you for bringing that up. We'll need to communicate clearly about our intentions, to honor her truth while being respectful of varying beliefs," Lydia replied, reinforcing their commitment to integrity as a guiding principle. With the conversation turning to the intricacies of their presentation, Lydia felt a surge of determination course through her. "Let's create a timeline that highlights key events in the princess's life alongside the artifacts we've found," she proposed, eager to establish connections that could resonate with the community. The group nodded in agreement, the excitement returning as they envisioned how their ideas could come together into a cohesive narrative. Throughout the discussion, Lydia noticed how everyone's contributions were valued, their motivations uniting toward a common goal of preserving history. "Together, we can create a powerful exhibition that not only honors the princess, but also engages the community in meaningful ways," she concluded, her passion evident as she inspired her team. As they finalized their plans, Lydia felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The mixed narratives were no longer sources of worry, but opportunities to foster dialogue and understanding. Chapter 12, The Breaking Point. Lydia stood at the foot of the ancient ruins, a sense of purpose washing over her as she prepared to tackle the next phase of their mission. The air was charged with anticipation, and she could feel the weight of history pressing in around her, urging her to uncover its secrets. "We've come this far, and now we need to put everything we've learned into action," she declared to her team, confidence resonating in her voice. As they spread out, each member gathered their notes, ready to dive deeper into their research and exploration of the princess's legacy. "Let's break into pairs. Alan, you're with me. We'll explore the eastern chamber while the others document what we find in the western ruins," she instructed, her assertiveness guiding their movements. Lydia's heart raced with excitement. She was determined to uncover the truths that lay hidden and to solidify her role as a leader in their quest for knowledge. As Lydia and Alan entered the eastern chamber, a cool breeze brushed against their skin, carrying with it the scent of aged stone and earth. The sight before them was both awe-inspiring and daunting. Crumbling walls adorned with intricate carvings and faded murals depicting scenes from the princess's life. "We need to document everything we see," Lydia urged, pulling out her notebook, the thrill of discovery fueling her anticipation. She moved closer to the walls, inspecting the carvings closely, desperate to connect them to the narratives they had discussed back in the village. "This looks like the moment she was crowned," she pointed out excitedly, tracing her finger along the depicted figure, her heart racing at the realization. Alan joined her, his eyes wide as he marveled at the detail, and together they began to take notes, the discoveries igniting their determination to unearth the truth. As they continued to explore, Lydia began to notice subtle discrepancies in the carvings she had admired. "Wait a second," she said, her brow furrowing as confusion crept into her tone. "This part of the mural doesn't match the stories we heard from the elder." Alan leaned closer, examining the details alongside her, his enthusiasm momentarily overshadowed by concern. "What do you mean?" he asked, visibly intrigued but cautious. Lydia pointed to an image depicting the princess in a scene at odds with their understanding of her character, a moment that suggested conflict rather than resolution. "This suggests she had personal struggles, perhaps even betrayals that we didn't fully grasp," Lydia speculated, her mind racing with the implications of this newfound angle. Alan's expression shifted from curiosity to worry. "Do you think revealing these discrepancies will change how the villagers view her legacy?" Lydia pondered the question, realizing the responsibility that came with their discoveries. Every piece of information could reshape the narrative they were all striving to preserve. Lydia felt a knot tighten in her stomach at the thought of confronting the villagers with these complicated new truths. What if they see her differently, Not as a hero, but as someone who failed, she questioned, the weight of responsibility weighing heavily on her shoulders. Alon furrowed his brow, clearly troubled by the implications. But isn't it our job to depict the whole story, no matter how messy it might be? The truth is what matters. Lydia nodded, but uncertainty flickered within her. Yes, but the truth can also be destructive. If we reveal these struggles, we risk undermining the legacy the princess built. She took a deep breath, realizing the dilemma at hand. They needed to honor the legacy, but also be transparent about the complexities of history. Let's gather more evidence before we decide how to present this. We owe it to her to ensure our portrayal is complete, yet respectful, she suggested, her resolve solidifying as she grappled with the moral weight of their findings. Determined to uncover more truths, Lydia led the team deeper into the chamber, the atmosphere thick with anticipation and the weight of history. We need to explore every inch of this site, she stated, her voice steady, urging everyone to stay focused on their goal. As they moved, she observed the group's varied reactions. Some were eager and alert, while others still carried unease from their earlier discoveries. Let's divide and conquer. We can cover more ground if we split up. We should meet back here in an hour to share what we've found, she suggested, strategically planning their exploration. Despite the excitement, Lydia could sense a hesitance in some team members, especially Diane, who looked uncertain. What if we uncover further discrepancies? Are we ready to handle that? Remember, knowledge is power, even if it challenges our views. We have each other's backs, Lydia reassured, her confidence aimed at unifying the team, reminding them that they were all in this together. With the plan set, Lydia watched her team scatter into the chamber, each member driven by purpose to uncover hidden truths. She took a moment to gather her thoughts, reflecting on the magnitude of their discoveries and the potential implications that lay ahead. As she moved deeper into the chamber, Lydia felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The uncertainty of what they might find loomed heavy, yet it filled her with resolve. "Stay alert, everyone," she called out, her voice echoing against the stone walls, urging her team to remain vigilant amid the silence. Lydia noticed Diane hesitating near a dusty corner of the room, glancing back and forth between the artifacts and the door. "Are you all right?" she asked, concern flashing in her eyes. Diane nodded, but Lydia could see the tension in her shoulders, a reminder that the weight of their mission affected them all in different ways. Chapter 13, The Edge of Chaos. Lydia continued exploring the chamber, her pulse quickening with each artifact she uncovered, eager to piece together the princess's story. As she examined a beautifully crafted ceramic vase, she felt a sudden and sharp noise echo through the chamber, causing her to turn sharply. "What was that?" she whispered, a knot tightening in her stomach as she exchanged worried glances with Alain and the others. The atmosphere shifted. A sense of unease hung in the air, and Lydia could see it reflected in her team's expressions. "Stick together," Lydia instructed, her voice steady as she moved closer to the source of the noise, curiosity mingling with caution. Moments later, a section of the wall shifted slightly, revealing an unexpected passage, and the tension transformed into excitement as they pondered what secrets lay beyond. Lydia's heart raced as she approached the newly revealed passage, curiosity igniting her every step. "Should we proceed?" Alain asked, the tension palpable in his voice, uncertainty lingering in the air as they stood uncertainly before the opening. Lydia nodded, her determination firm as she turned to her team. "We've come this far. We can't back down now. Let's see what's inside." As they stepped through the passage, the air grew cooler, and the damp scent of ancient stone filled her lungs, intensifying her eagerness to uncover more secrets. With her lantern casting flickering shadows, she could see markings similar to the ones they deciphered earlier, hinting at deeper connections to the princess's legacy. "Keep an eye out for anything unusual. It's likely we're not alone down here," Lydia reminded them, her instincts sharpening as she took in the surroundings and prepared for whatever lay ahead. As they ventured further into the passage, Lydia scanned the dimly lit walls, her anticipation building with each step they took. Suddenly, a faint shimmering light caught her attention, illuminating a pedestal at the end of the corridor. "Over there! "It looks like there's something on display," she exclaimed, moving forward with purpose, her excitement bubbling at the prospect of a discovery. Yet, as they approached, the air grew thick with tension, and Lydia noticed a series of ornate traps cleverly concealed around the pedestal. "Wait, we need to be careful," she cautioned, her voice barely above a whisper as she surveyed the area for signs of danger. This moment highlighted the importance of patience. Lydia knew that engaging with caution and resourcefulness would be critical in overcoming the obstacles ahead. Lydia crouched low, examining the traps intricately designed around the pedestal, her heart pounding as she assessed the danger. "Whoever set these up clearly didn't want just anyone getting close," she whispered, her mind racing with thoughts of how to navigate the obstacle. Alon leaned in closer, fear flickering in his eyes. "How do we disarm it without triggering anything? I'm not sure we can take risks here." Determined, Lydia scanned for a pattern in the traps, recalling her studies on ancient defensive mechanisms. "If we can determine how they're triggered, we might be able to disarm them," she said, her confidence bolstered by knowledge. She reached for a nearby stick, carefully prodding at the edges of the traps to assess their sensitivity, feeling the tension of each cautious movement. "Everyone, stay back," she warned her team, focused entirely on the task at hand as they watched her navigate this perilous situation. With a deep breath, Lydia focused her attention on the intricate designs of the traps, analyzing the mechanics as she expertly maneuvered the stick around the perimeter. She felt the weight of her team's eyes on her, the trust they placed in her skills, both a comfort and a pressure. "Just a bit more," she murmured, carefully adjusting her movements as she began to disable one of the traps by loosening the delicate, twisted wire holding it in place. She released it slowly, her heart racing, and the trap clicked harmlessly aside, a victorious smile breaking across her face. "Okay, that's one down," she said, turning to face the group, excitement and adrenaline fueling her resolve. Yet her confidence was momentarily shaken as she noticed the glint of another trap, one that was slightly more complex, reminding her that they weren't out of danger yet. Determined to press on, Lydia took a step back to reassess the new trap, her mind racing to connect all the knowledge she had gained. "Okay, let's figure this one out," she said, motioning for the others to remain alert as she examined the mechanism more closely. This trap was rigged differently, and she could see it required a different approach. She needed to find a way to trigger it without harm. Lydia recalled her earlier brush with the artifacts in the chamber, feeling that her understanding was finally aligning with the practical needs of the moment. "Stay quiet and let me try something," she instructed, her voice steady as she crouched again, using a longer stick to poke at the trigger without setting off the mechanism. As the group watched in tense silence, she felt a wave of both fear and excitement pulse through her. This was a test of her skills, awareness, and leadership all at once. Chapter 14, The Price of Knowledge. With a determined focus, Lydia carefully disarmed the complex trap, a wave of relief washing over her as it clicked harmlessly back into place. "Got it," she announced, turning to her team, her excitement infectious as they breathed a collective sigh of relief. Feeling empowered by their success, Lydia examined the hidden passage that lay before them, a new sense of purpose igniting her spirit as she pondered what lay ahead. "Let's proceed cautiously," she advised, her voice steadier than before, reflecting her growth through the challenges they faced. As they stepped deeper into the chamber, Lydia took stock of the artifacts surrounding them, a tangible reminder of the history they were unearthing. Determined to uncover more truths, she led her team further inside, ready to embrace whatever the journey held in store for them. Once inside the chamber, Lydia felt a rush of exhilaration as the flickering light from their lanterns illuminated ancient carvings on the walls. The inscriptions seemed to pulse with stories, and she leaned in, studying the images with fierce determination. "Look at these details," she pointed out to her team, eager to share her insights. They depict key events that shaped her life and her decisions. As she spoke, Alon joined her, brushing away dirt to unveil more symbols, his excitement palpable. "If we interpret these correctly, we could piece together her legacy." Yet an unease settled over them as shadows danced around the chamber, hinting at secrets still concealed in the darkness. Despite the growing tension, Lydia felt a heightened sense of clarity. The knowledge she had gathered was finally coalescing into something meaningful. As Lydia continued to examine the carvings, she felt the weight of responsibility heavy on her shoulders. What if we misinterpret these symbols? What if we are exposing the princess in a way that will undermine her legacy? She voiced her concerns, glancing at Alain, who was poring over the details with enthusiasm. Alain paused, absorbing her words, and replied, "But we have to take the risk. The truth may be complicated, but it's still the truth." Lydia nodded, appreciating his confidence, but silently grappling with the fear of misunderstanding their findings. "Let's be diligent. Each interpretation must be examined carefully before we present it," she insisted, her voice firm as she reassured herself and her team. This exchange underscored the dynamics at play. While they were eager to embrace their discoveries, the gravity of their mission weighed heavily on Lydia's ability to lead them through the uncertainty. Lydia took a step back, her mind racing as she focused on the intricacies of the symbols before her. What if we map out each detail? Documenting our interpretations could help clarify our findings later, she proposed, sensing the importance of organized thought in their approach. Alain nodded in agreement, encouraging the others to join in. "Yes, let's each take a symbol or carving and analyze it for connections to the princess's story." As they began collaborating, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose. The shared effort shifted the atmosphere, fostering unity and collective dedication. But as the group worked, Diane once again voiced her concerns. Are we sufficiently preparing ourselves for the consequences of what we might uncover? What if the truth is too complex? Lydia met her gaze with certainty, responding, "We will face whatever comes together. Understanding the full story is what will honor the princess." As they meticulously documented their findings, Lydia felt the atmosphere shift yet again. Their discussions filled with vibrant energy and renewed hope. One scholar pointed out a particular symbol that seemed to connect multiple stories. This might indicate a turning point in her life. It aligns with the elders' tales. Lydia felt a surge of excitement at the potential connection, realizing that they were piecing together the puzzle of the princess's journey, step by step. However, Diane remained introspective, her furrowed brow revealing her ongoing concern. But will the villagers accept a narrative that includes her flaws? Lydia paused, considering the weight of Diane's words, yet remained resolute. The truth we uncover can inspire growth and understanding. It's essential to acknowledge her challenges to appreciate her strength. This exchange highlighted Lydia's maturity as a leader. She was prepared to face uncertainty head-on, recognizing that their journey was about more than just discovery. It was about empowerment through truth. With their understanding deepening and their discoveries unfolding, Lydia sensed that the energy in the room had shifted entirely. Encouraged by their collaborative efforts, she looked around at her team, their eyes reflecting a blend of excitement and determination. They were ready to share what they had learned. "Let's present our findings to the village as a united front," she proposed, feeling the weight of leadership settle comfortably on her shoulders. The team murmured in agreement, the prospect of showcasing their work rekindling their enthusiasm. As they prepared their presentation, Lydia felt a surge of pride. This was not just her journey anymore. It was theirs, woven from each story and every insight. "This exhibition will show the complexities of her legacy, and together we will honor it," she affirmed, the conviction in her voice solidifying her role as their leader moving forward. Chapter 15, The Path of Discovery. The day of the exhibition arrived, and Lydia felt a mix of excitement and nervous energy coursing through her as she stood before the vibrant displays set up in the village square. Brightly colored banners adorned the space, showcasing images from their journey, alongside artifacts that told tales of the lost princess. Villagers began to gather, their chatter creating a warm buzz around her, each person eager to see what discoveries lay ahead. Lydia checked the arrangement of their presentations, ensuring everything was in place, her heart racing with anticipation as she thought about the stories they were about to share. "Are you ready for this?" Alain asked, stepping beside her, the camaraderie of their partnership comforting her nerves. Lydia took a deep breath, nodding with determination. This is our chance to illuminate the truth and inspire the community. Let's make sure we do it right. As the villagers began to filter in, Lydia felt a surge of energy wash over her, the anticipation palpable in the air. She stood at the front, ready to deliver her speech, and scanned the crowd, catching sight of familiar faces, friends, family, and fellow scholars, all gathered to witness their findings. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady. "We're here to honor not just the princess's story, but the many voices that have contributed to her legacy." The audience listened intently, Lydia noting their expressions shift from curiosity to engagement as she shared the depths of their discoveries. "Each of you has a role in this narrative. Together, we can keep her memory alive and vibrant," she affirmed, her confidence growing with every word. As applause echoed at the end of her speech, Lydia felt a profound sense of accomplishment, knowing that their hard work and exploration had finally come to fruition. As Lydia stepped down from the podium, a wave of villagers approached her, eager to learn more about the stories she had shared. "Everything you presented today was incredible," one villager exclaimed, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. Lydia smiled, grateful for the positive feedback, yet aware of the undercurrents of lingering doubts from others. "Do you really believe we can reshape our history based on these tales?" another villager questioned, crossing his arms defensively. "Yes, I do," Lydia replied, her voice steady, feeling the weight of her commitment guiding her. "These stories connect us to our past and can inspire the future." The varied responses allowed her to sense the complexities of their community. She recognized the necessity of fostering unity amid differing perspectives. "Are you saying the past can change how we see our future?" the skeptical villager pressed, his brow furrowed in disbelief. Lydia took a moment to absorb his question, sensing the weight behind it. "Absolutely. Understanding our history, including its complexities, can guide our decisions moving forward." The group murmured, some nodding in agreement, while others exchanged uncertain glances, their mixed reactions underscoring the challenges she faced in shifting perspectives. With renewed determination, Lydia stepped closer to the villager, her voice strong. "Every story contains lessons that we can learn from. It's not about changing the past, but using it to inspire growth and progress." The villager studied her for a moment, reconsidering her words as the crowd around them glanced back and forth, curiosity piqued. This exchange tested Lydia's resolve, but reinforced her belief in the importance of collaboration and dialogue in transforming their shared history into a hopeful future. As the discussion continued, Lydia sensed growing excitement among the villagers as they began to make connections between their own lives and the stories she shared about the princess. One villager spoke up. "There are tales my grandmother used to tell me that echo what Lydia described. Perhaps we've been too focused on the myths." Lydia felt a rush of hope, realizing the conversation was shifting towards acceptance and understanding rather than doubt and skepticism. "Exactly. Those stories matter, and reclaiming them is vital to our identity," she affirmed, encouraged that her words were resonating with the crowd. With each affirmation, Lydia noticed how the villagers began to warm up to her vision, their eyes lighting up at the thought of re-exploring their shared history. This moment solidified her belief that their mission could inspire reconnection with the community's roots, shaping a path toward a collective future that honored the princess and all she represented. As the villagers began to share their own stories and connect them to the princess's narrative, Lydia felt the energy in the square shift dramatically. "Let's create a storytelling circle where everyone can contribute their memories and tales related to her legacy," she suggested, her excitement infectious as she saw others nodding in agreement. The atmosphere buzzed with enthusiasm as villagers immediately began to discuss logistics, eager to bring their histories to life in this new context. Lydia's heart swelled with pride. The reluctance of earlier moments melted away as the community rallied around a shared purpose. "Together, we can create something meaningful that honors not just the princess but everyone's experiences," she stated, her voice filled with conviction as she encouraged the dialogue. This final beat emphasized Lydia's role as a catalyst for change, reinforcing her growth and the power of collaborative storytelling to shape their future. Chapter 16, The Consequence of Betrayal. Lydia stood before the villagers the following week at the community center, ready to present their collective findings during the exhibition. An air of excitement buzzed around the room as families gathered, their expressions filled with anticipation for the stories she was about to share. However, the atmosphere shifted when Diane approached her, concern shadowing her features. What if not everyone appreciates this perspective? What if we face backlash? Feeling a pang of doubt, Lydia took a moment to absorb Diane's words, recognizing the weight behind her apprehension. Every story has its critics, but we owe it to the princess and to ourselves to be honest in what we share, Lydia replied, striving to project confidence. Diane nodded hesitantly, but Lydia could see the lingering worry in her eyes, as well as some uncertainty from other villagers in the room, amplifying the tension before the presentation. Lydia took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle over her as she stepped up to the podium, ready to share the truths they had uncovered. "Thank you all for being here today," she began, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "Today, we will honor the princess by sharing her legacy and what we've learned together." As she launched into the presentation, the room filled with stories of bravery, resilience, and the significance of the princess's impact on their community. Yet, as Lydia spoke, she was acutely aware of the skeptical glances that flickered among some villagers, including Diane, who still carried doubts about the narrative they were presenting. "Each word we share reflects our commitment to truth and understanding, even when it is complicated," she urged, striving to bridge the gap between their differing perspectives. With each account shared, she felt the tension shift slightly, yet the weight of uncertainty lingered in the air, pressing against her resolve. Lydia continued her presentation, recounting the complex tales surrounding the princess with passion and conviction, determined to paint a complete picture. However, as she spoke of the princess's vulnerabilities, she noticed a shift in the crowd. Some villagers exchanged whispers that cut through the atmosphere like daggers. "Should we really be focusing on her failures?" someone muttered, skepticism lacing their words. Lydia's heart sank at the low murmur, and she momentarily faltered, aware that she was challenging deeply held beliefs in her community. History is not just about admiration. It's about learning from every aspect of a person's story, including their hardships, she countered, striving to maintain confidence despite the growing unease. Her response hung in the air, a mix of tension and curiosity as the villagers processed her words, recognizing the weight of her assertion amid their conflicting feelings. Lydia took a moment to gather her thoughts, feeling the weight of doubt pressing down on her. "Together, we can learn from the entirety of her journey. Her strengths and struggles shape the legacy we remember," she said, her voice firm but with a hint of vulnerability. A villager in the front row raised an eyebrow, skepticism etched on his face. But what if these admissions tarnish her memory? What if it leads to division rather than unity? Feeling the tension in the room spike, Lydia leaned into the challenge. "Our goal is not to diminish her, but to enrich our understanding. The full narrative is what connects us all." The crowd stirred, murmurs intertwining with her words, and she sensed a flicker of understanding beginning to take root among them. "We owe it to her legacy to be honest. Not just for our sake, but for the generations to come," she added, hoping to ignite a sense of shared responsibility in the hearts of her listeners. As Lydia spoke, she could sense the atmosphere in the room gradually shift. A woman standing in the back raised her hand, visibly moved by Lydia's words. "You're right. If we don't acknowledge the princess's challenges, we fail to honor her true spirit." The murmurs of doubt began to quiet, replaced by thoughtful nods and exchanged looks among the villagers. Lydia felt a surge of hope as others started to connect with her perspective, recognizing the validity in revealing the complete narrative. "Thank you for sharing that," Lydia replied, her heart warming as she met the woman's gaze, appreciating her willingness to consider the depth of their discussion. This moment reinforced the importance of each voice in the room, showcasing Lydia's ability to lead a discourse where understanding and acceptance could flourish. With the conversation gaining momentum, Lydia felt the energy in the room shift palpably, transforming doubt into a sense of collective purpose. Let's commit to uncovering every facet of her story, her triumphs, her failures, and the lessons learned, she declared, her voice resonating with resolve as she engaged the audience. The group began to murmur in agreement, the atmosphere charged with renewed enthusiasm and the willingness to embrace complexity. Lydia caught sight of her father in the crowd. His expression softened, pride lighting up his features as he finally grasped her vision. Energized by this acknowledgement, she turned her focus back to the villagers, urging, "Together, we can reshape how we remember our past and ensure that the princess's legacy lives on for future generations." In this moment, Lydia understood that her journey was not just about discovery, but about inspiring change, creating a legacy that merged the past with the future. Chapter 17, The Conflict Within. In the days following the exhibition, Lydia felt the weight of expectations settle heavily on her shoulders as she navigated the village. The community buzzed with excitement over their discoveries, but with that energy came an undercurrent of skepticism from some who questioned the interpretation of the princess's legacy. As she walked through the square, Diane approached her, arms crossed and a skeptical look on her face. "What if we push too hard? We need to ensure we're not stepping on toes with this new narrative," she challenged. "Diane, I understand your fears, but this is part of our journey," Lydia replied, feeling a mix of frustration and determination rise within her. "If we don't push for the truth, we risk letting history remain stagnant." The conversation felt charged, and Lydia noted that the stakes were high. She was no longer just a seeker of knowledge, but now a leader, steering her community toward new truths. Despite Diane's reservations, Lydia's resolve solidified. She had come too far to turn back now. Lydia took a deep breath, recognizing that bolstering the team's spirits was crucial at this moment of tension. "Let's regroup and talk about our next steps," she suggested, gathering her team near the village fountain, the sound of water creating a calming backdrop. As the group settled in, Lydia felt a rush of determination surge through her. She needed to reassure them that their mission was still valid. "Each story we share strengthens our identity and honors the princess's legacy," she said, her voice steady as she looked into the eyes of her team members. Alan chimed in, "We've built something powerful together. Let's keep that momentum going." With nods of agreement, Lydia could sense the collective determination returning, their earlier doubts shifting as they prepared to support one another through the uncertainties ahead. As they began discussing their next steps, Lydia noticed a hesitant look on one of the younger historians, Mark, who sat quietly apart from the group. "Is something bothering you, Mark?" she asked, sensing the tension behind his silence. He looked up, clearly struggling with uncertainty. "What if we end up misrepresenting the history? I don't want to damage the princess's legacy further." Lydia felt a pang of empathy as his fears resonated with her own. "I understand your concern, but that's why we're approaching this carefully. We need to represent the full truth, even if it's complex." Alan nodded, stepping in to support Lydia. "We're in this together, and we've all agreed that it's important to honor her story through our findings." The group began to murmur in agreement, but Lydia could see that Mark still grappled with his doubts, highlighting the varied perspectives that existed within the team. This moment reinforced the necessity for open dialogue. Lydia knew that addressing these concerns head-on would fortify their unity and strengthen their commitment to the mission. Lydia took a step closer to Mark, wanting to address his worries personally. "I've faced doubts too, but I've learned that sharing the truth, no matter how complicated, empowers us. It's a responsibility we have to uphold," she said, her gaze steady and reassuring. Mark studied her for a moment before tentatively responding, "I guess I'm just scared of the backlash if we share everything." Lydia nodded, understanding his hesitation. "That fear is valid, but remember, it's our mistakes and struggles that can resonate, making the princess's story more relatable." Hearing her speak with conviction, the team began to lean in, drawn to her passion and the validity of her perspective. "I'll stand alongside you, no matter the outcome," Alan added, his support shining through, which seemed to bolster Mark's confidence as well. This exchange illuminated the strength of their team. It reinforced Lydia's role as a leader capable of bridging fears with hope and solidarity, ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. With the discussion shifting to a more hopeful tone, Lydia felt a renewed energy coursing through the group. Let's take this opportunity to create a comprehensive timeline that reflects everything we've learned, she suggested, rallying her team's spirits as they began to brainstorm together. Team members chimed in, tossing ideas back and forth, and Lydia noted how their enthusiasm transformed the atmosphere into one of collaboration and excitement. Amid the discussion, Diane expressed her endorsement, stating, "This approach might help address any concerns people have, showing context could be key." Feeling the weight of responsibility, Lydia replied, "Exactly. By framing the narrative comprehensively, we can help the community understand the full story of the princess." This moment reinforced Lydia's growth. She realized that effective leadership involved both listening to her team and guiding them toward a shared vision, strengthening their commitment as they prepared for the next phase of their journey. As the team finalized their timeline, Lydia felt a surge of pride in the collective effort, recognizing how far they had come together. "Let's make sure we each bring our unique findings into this framework. Every piece is vital," she encouraged, emphasizing the value of collaboration. Team members nodded, their expressions reflecting a sense of investment in the project, which bolstered Lydia's confidence as a leader. "Remember, these aren't just stories. They are who we are as a community," she added, reminding them of the importance of their mission in preserving their history. As the timeline took shape, Lydia glanced at her team, noting how their camaraderie had blossomed, the earlier doubts slowly dissipating in the face of shared purpose. This moment solidified her understanding that by empowering her team and valuing their insights, they were building a legacy together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Chapter 18, The Commitment to Leadership. Lydia stood at the forefront of the gathering in the town square, her heart racing with a mixture of excitement and resolve. Today marked a turning point. She would confront her rivals and reaffirm her commitment to honoring the princess's legacy amid the challenges they faced. With the crowd buzzing in anticipation, she felt the weight of her team's expectations pressing on her shoulders, a reminder of the collective efforts that had brought them all together. As she scanned the faces in the crowd, she noticed Marcus lurking at the edge, a sly smirk on his face that ignited a spark of determination within her. "This is not just about us. This is about the truth being heard," she declared, her voice steady, cutting through the murmurs of the villagers as she addressed them directly. In this moment of confrontation, Lydia understood that she was ready to take a bold stand, fully prepared to defend the stories they had uncovered together. As Lydia stepped closer to the makeshift podium, she gathered her notes, heart pounding with anticipation. "Today, we stand together to unveil the truth about the princess," she began, her voice ringing with conviction as she looked out at the crowd's eager faces. Excited murmurs filled the air, but she could sense the apprehension lingering in some. "Her story embodies not only greatness, but also challenges, and it is our duty to honor both," she continued, aiming to establish a sense of unity and purpose. Yet, as she spoke, she noticed Marcus shifting restlessly in the crowd, clearly prepared to undermine her narrative at any moment. Understanding the stakes, Lydia resolved to confront him if necessary, determined to protect the integrity of their mission and assert her role as a leader. Lydia continued, her words resonating as she emphasized the collective need to understand the complexity of the princess's legacy. Her life serves as a reminder that greatness isn't without its struggles, and those struggles shape who we are as a community, she asserted, hoping to connect the hearts of the villagers to the narrative. As she spoke, she noticed Marcus shifting in his position, his expression a mixture of contempt and defiance. "I understand there are different perspectives on our history," Marcus interjected, standing up to disrupt her flow. "But embellishing our past won't unify us, it could tear us apart." The crowd murmured, divided. Some nodded in agreement with Marcus, while others looked to Lydia for reassurance. Unfazed, Lydia responded, "Acknowledging our flaws is a strength, not a weakness. If we hide from the truth, we miss the opportunity to grow and learn." This moment underscored the growing tension in the room, challenging Lydia's leadership, while also revealing the differing motivations among the villagers as they navigated this important discourse. Feeling the crowd's energy shifting, Lydia stepped forward with conviction, determined to address Marcus's challenge head-on. Each of us carries the weight of our history, and if we embrace our past, we can build a stronger future together, she declared, her voice steady and filled with emotion. The slight rustle among the villagers signified the stir of thought. They were weighing her words against their past beliefs and fears. And we can't let a fear of the truth stop us from advocating for genuine connections with our history, she continued, gauging the impact of her message on the audience. The murmurs of agreement grew louder, and she could see some villagers leaning in, captivated by her passionate resolve. In this moment, Lydia understood that her willingness to confront difficult truths was what would unify them, transforming skepticism into a shared commitment to honor the integrity of the princess's legacy. With the room buzzing, Lydia felt a surge of empowerment as she continued to share their vision. Together we can create a narrative that honors the princess and sparks conversations about our future, she encouraged, her excitement igniting the crowd once more. Alon chimed in, adding, "Let's outline specific roles for each of us. Everyone has something vital to contribute." The group began to nod, the energy shifting from skepticism to enthusiasm as they embraced the idea of collective participation in the mission. "Your suggestions are key. This journey isn't just about artifacts. It's about rekindling our connection to our roots," Lydia affirmed, noting how each person's involvement enhanced the momentum. As they collaborated, Lydia recognized how each member's commitment fueled her confidence, reinforcing the unity blossoming among them as they forged ahead toward their shared goal. As the discussions deepened and plans took shape, Lydia felt a profound sense of belonging to something greater than herself. With each voice contributing to the mission, she could see the emerging unity in the room, fueled by a shared purpose that left her invigorated. "Let's outline our exact roles, ensuring everyone knows how they can help shape our presentation to the community," she suggested, her excitement bubbling over into tangible energy. The team divided tasks smoothly, and Lydia felt a newfound assurance in her leadership, recognizing how their collaborative spirit was key to their success. "Together, we will honor the princess by sharing her story with the world, and I trust each of you to bring your best to this," she declared, her confidence resonating as she encouraged individual contributions. In this moment, she understood that trusting her team not only strengthened their bond, but also solidified her growth as a leader, prepared to guide them into the next chapter of their journey. Chapter 19, The High-Stakes Encounter. Lydia stood at the edge of the village, the forest looming ahead like a guardian of secrets yet to be uncovered. The morning light streamed through the trees, casting intricate shadows on the ground as she felt anticipation pulse in her veins. "We have to be ready for anything," she reminded her team, a sense of urgency coloring her voice as they gathered their supplies before venturing into the unknown. Alon checked his gear, looking determined. "If we encounter any danger, we'll stick to the plan and keep communication open." Lydia nodded, appreciative of his support, but she could sense that the energy in the group was tinged with apprehension after their last encounter. "Trust in each other. Together we can face whatever comes our way," she asserted, her resolve shining through the anxious atmosphere as they prepared to dive deeper into their mission. As they entered the forest, the dense canopy enveloped them, the sound of rustling leaves and distant birds echoing around them. Lydia led the way, her heart racing with excitement and nerves as she navigated the winding path, trying to stay aware of her surroundings. "Remember, listen closely. The forest holds its own stories," she reminded the team, her voice a mix of reverence and caution. Alon walked beside her, picking up on her enthusiasm, "And we're here to uncover them. Let's stay focused on what lies ahead." They pressed onward, Lydia's instincts guiding her, yet the silence of the forest made her acutely aware of every sound, every rustle hinting at potential threats or hidden truths. As they ventured deeper, a sense of purpose and determination solidified within her. They were becoming part of the tapestry of history they sought to uncover. As they moved deeper into the forest, Lydia sensed the atmosphere shifting, the air growing heavier with each step they took. Suddenly, the sound of snapping branches broke the stillness, sending a jolt of adrenaline through her veins. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, glancing at Alon, who nodded, eyes wide with alertness. Lydia motioned for the team to halt, her heartbeat pounding in her ears as she strained to listen for any signs of danger. "Everyone, stay close and ready." "It could be anything," she instructed, her voice steady despite the unease creeping in. The tension hung thick as they prepared for whatever might emerge from the thick underbrush, Lydia's mind racing with thoughts of both possible threats and the hidden discoveries that awaited them. Lydia's heart raced as she focused on the bushes where the noise had originated, every instinct telling her to be alert. "Position yourselves where you can see down both paths," she whispered to her team, her voice low yet authoritative. Alon stepped up beside her, gripping a branch like a makeshift weapon, ready for anything that might emerge. "Do you think it's another animal, or could it be someone tracking us?" Lydia considered his question, feeling the weight of uncertainty. "We can't take any chances. We need to be prepared for either," she replied, eyes scanning the underbrush. As they waited, the tension grew, a weighty silence settling around them, amplifying every rustle and sound in the forest. When a figure finally emerged from the shadows, a local villager, looking equally startled, Lydia exhaled, a mix of relief and caution overtaking her. "You scared us. What are you doing out here?" she asked, quickly shifting her focus to the unexpected visitor. The villager, a middle-aged woman with dirt-smudged cheeks, looked around nervously, her eyes wide with concern. "I heard noises and came to check. This forest can be dangerous, especially near the ruins," she said, her voice trembling slightly. Lydia felt a wave of relief wash over her, but also a flicker of curiosity about the woman's knowledge. "Do you know anything about what might be happening at the ruins?" she inquired, eager to gather information. The woman hesitated, glancing back toward the forest, clearly weighing her words. "There have been whispers of strange happenings. Some say it's not safe to venture there right now." Lydia exchanged glances with Alon, aware that they had to weigh these concerns against their mission. "We need to be cautious, but we can't turn back now. We have to uncover the truths hidden there," she asserted, her voice firm. This interaction shifted the dynamics. While the woman's fears were evident, Lydia's determination began to inspire confidence in the others as they reevaluated their approach to what lay ahead. Lydia took a moment to consider the villager's warning, her mind racing with the implications of venturing into the ruins under uncertain circumstances. "Thank you for the heads up," she replied, appreciating the woman's concern. "But we've come too far to turn back. We need to investigate and ensure others don't get caught off guard." The villager nodded, yet the worry in her eyes remained. "I understand, but please, be careful. There are stories of those who entered and never returned." Feeling a mixture of fear and determination, Lydia turned to her team. "Let's combine what we've gathered with the knowledge of the area. We need to navigate carefully and remain unified." A sense of purpose surged through the group as they prepared to move forward, but Lydia could sense the tension still pulsing in the air, a reminder of the challenges they faced. "Stick together and stay alert for any signs of trouble," she instructed, her voice steady, determined to lead them into the unknown with unwavering resolve. Chapter 20: The Evaluation of Trust. In the days following their exploration, Lydia gathered her team in a quiet glade, eager to take stock of their progress and plan their next steps. The sounds of the forest filled the air, creating a calm backdrop as they settled down, each person bringing their findings to share. "Let's review what we've accomplished so far," Lydia began, spreading out notes and artifacts on a flat rock, emphasizing the importance of assessing their journey. She felt the weight of the discoveries they had made, but also the gaps that remained. Knowing the need to fill those voids was crucial to moving forward. As team members began to recount their insights, Lydia listened carefully, eager to integrate their contributions into a cohesive strategy that would honor the princess's legacy. This moment of reflection set the stage for critical decision-making, allowing Lydia to identify what resources were still necessary and how best to overcome the hurdles that lay ahead. Lydia reviewed the notes carefully, each page filled with the fruits of their labor. Insights, ideas, and discoveries marked their progress. As her eyes darted across the information, she couldn't help but notice the gaps where further research was needed, a knot of determination tightening in her stomach. Okay, we've got significant information about the princess's story, but we still need to connect with local historians for more context, she announced, writing down their next steps. Alon raised a hand. What about the potential risks? We need to ensure we have protective measures in place this time. Lydia nodded in agreement, realizing that they had faced challenges before and needed to be better prepared moving forward. Let's make a plan. I'll reach out to the historians while others gather supplies and information from the villagers, she strategized, feeling the weight of leadership settle comfortably on her shoulders. As the team discussed their next steps, Lydia could feel the momentum building, but an undercurrent of anxiety still lingered, especially from Diane. What if we can't find the answers we're looking for? What if seeking them puts us in danger again? Diane questioned, her voice tinged with concern as she paced slightly away from the group. Lydia approached her, determination stealing her voice. Every exploration carries risks, Diane, but we can't allow fear to dictate our choices. The history we uncover is too valuable. Diane paused, looking at Lydia with a mixture of apprehension and respect. I just want to ensure we're ready for whatever comes our way, she replied, her gaze softening slightly. I understand, and your caution is important, but trust that we can navigate this together, Lydia reassured her, aware that building this trust was essential for their mission's success. This exchange emphasized the need for unity. Lydia recognized that her confidence could inspire others to embrace the challenges ahead, reminding herself of her growth as a leader as they prepared to forge a new path. Lydia gathered everyone's thoughts, eager to solidify their strategy, but she sensed the anxiety still hanging in the air. Let's break this down into manageable steps, she proposed, drawing their attention back to the map spread across the ground. As she pointed to various locations, each marked with potential leads and resources, she encouraged open dialogue, inviting perspectives from all team members. Alon chimed in, we should prioritize the historians who have been open to collaborating. Their insights could bridge gaps in our understanding. Lydia appreciated his input, feeling the collaborative spirit return as others nodded in agreement. Absolutely. We'll also put together a list of questions to ask and aim to meet with as many as possible. This moment illustrated how Lydia was adapting under pressure, drawing from her previous experiences to foster unity and focus as they prepared to tackle each task ahead. With their plan taking shape, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose as she prepared to take the next steps. Remember, the goal is to unearth insights about the princess while ensuring we stay safe and organized, she reminded the group, her voice steady. The team nodded, the earlier anxieties melting away with the clarity of purpose Lydia was fostering among them. Let's split up the tasks and make sure everyone knows their roles, she started, assigning Alon to connect with the local historians while she focused on gathering stories from the villagers. Another team member raised a hand. What if we find resistance? Some might not want to share their tales. Lydia paused, considering the potential obstacles but feeling her resolve deepen. If we approach them with respect and authenticity, we can build trust. Let's take our time and show them that our intentions are genuine. This conviction in her response underscored her development. The lessons learned throughout their journey were now shaping her effective leadership as they moved forward. As the team prepared to set off, Lydia felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Make sure to share your findings promptly. We need to piece everything together as we gather information, she emphasized, the determination in her voice resonating with her allies. With tasks assigned, the atmosphere grew charged with purpose, and she noted how everyone seemed ready to engage in the mission. As they made their way toward their respective destinations, Lydia realized that with each step forward, her confidence had flourished alongside her leadership skills. Together, we can reclaim her story and make a difference, she called out to the group, a rallying cry that ignited enthusiasm. Feeling the weight of their shared ambition, she understood that they were not just on a quest for knowledge. They were building a legacy that demanded integrity and perseverance. Chapter 21, The Temptation to Retreat. The sun rose steadily as Lydia prepared to set out again, a sense of determination coursing through her as she packed essential supplies for their next expedition. She meticulously checked her backpack, ensuring she had everything she needed: notebooks, pens, the compass given by Hawthorne, and water for the journey ahead. Today is crucial. We need to find the historian and secure his insights on the princess's legacy, she reminded herself, feeling the weight of responsibility settle upon her. As she stepped outside, the familiar sights of the village stirred something within her, a blend of excitement and fear of what lay ahead. Moving towards the meeting point, she encountered Diane, who was visibly fidgeting, a reflection of her own concerns. "Are you sure this is wise? What if we attract unwanted attention?" Lydia paused, recognizing the hesitation in Diane's voice. "We'll take precautions. We can't let fear dictate our path. There's too much at stake." Their encounter underscored the challenges they faced as a team, setting the backdrop for Lydia's determination to lead them forward despite the looming uncertainties. As Lydia and Diane walked toward the outskirts of the village, Lydia couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that lingered in the air. "Do you think the historian will even want to talk to us after everything that's happened?" Diane asked, her voice tinged with doubt. Lydia contemplated the question as they approached a narrow path leading to the historian's cottage. "Sometimes we have to prove our dedication before we can earn trust. We have to show him our intentions are genuine." The path narrowed further, dense foliage enclosing them, and Lydia felt a swell of determination. They were here to uncover truths that needed to be told. "I just hope he's receptive," Diane replied, hesitating for a moment before pushing ahead, the weight of uncertainty still hanging over them. Lydia sensed the conflicting motivations within her, wanting to reassure her team member while also relying on her own resolve to move forward. "Let's take it one step at a time. We're fighting for the past and the future," Lydia encouraged, her heart steadying as they drew closer to their destination. As they reached the historian's cottage, Lydia knocked on the weathered door, her pulse quickening with anticipation and uncertainty. A moment later, the door creaked open to reveal an older man with silver hair and sharp, inquisitive eyes, clearly surprised to see them. "Can I help you?" he asked, folding his arms protectively across his chest, a posture that hinted at skepticism. "Mr. Harrington, we've come to discuss the lost princess and the stories surrounding her legacy," Lydia began, her voice steady despite the flutter of nerves within her. The historian regarded them with a mixture of intrigue and doubt. "Many have chased tales of her for their own gain. What makes you think your intentions are any different?" Lydia felt the pressure of his scrutiny, but reminded herself of the commitment she had made to preserve the truth. "Because we believe in honoring her story, not exploiting it. We want to understand our history better and share it with our community." Mr. Harrington regarded her for a moment, his expression revealing a flicker of contemplation before he stepped aside, inviting them into his cottage. "Very well, but understand this. History is not always kind, and the truth can bring shadows as well as light," he cautioned as he closed the door behind them. Inside, the walls were lined with bookshelves overflowing with ancient texts, the air heavy with the scent of old paper. Lydia blinked, taking in the wealth of knowledge surrounding her, feeling the atmosphere shift as the historian settled into a chair across from them. "Tell me what you've uncovered, and I'll consider how I can assist," he said, his tone shifting to one of genuine curiosity. Bolstered by his openness, Lydia launched into their findings, detailing the artifacts, tales from the villagers, and the connections they had made, eager to inspire further collaboration. As Lydia spoke, she noticed Mr. Harrington leaning forward, his interest piqued by their insights and the enthusiasm bubbling in her voice. "Each piece you've uncovered is a vital thread in the tapestry of her story," he said, nodding, acknowledging the significance of their findings. "Precisely," Lydia replied, her heart swelling with hope, feeling that their shared vision was finally finding resonance in someone of his stature. But she could sense an air of caution still lingering in the room. However, We must consider how we present these truths to the community. Not everyone will react positively, he warned. Lydia felt the weight of his words, recognizing the truth behind them. We want to honor the complexity of her story, even if it's not what everyone expects, she countered, her resolve steady as she navigated the complexities of their mission. His nod of approval reassured her, and she could see trust beginning to build, highlighting the importance of collaboration in their path forward. Lydia watched as Mr. Harrington considered their findings, the weight of the moment thickening the air around them. You're embarking on a difficult journey, and I hope you're prepared for the challenges it may bring, he finally said, his eyes steady and serious. Whatever it takes, we'll face it together, Lydia assured him, her voice filled with determination as she felt the strength of shared purpose resonating within the group. As long as you remain true to the stories and respect the heritage, you'll find your way, he continued, a hint of approval in his tone as he shared his own insights about the task ahead. Feeling bolstered, Lydia nodded, realizing that this alliance could provide critical support as they navigated the complexities of their mission. With a renewed sense of commitment, she thanked Mr. Harrington for his guidance, knowing that these connections would empower them to honor the princess's legacy with integrity. Chapter 22, The Setback. The day of the exhibition arrived, and Lydia felt a knot of anxiety twist in her stomach as she approached the community center, where the villagers had gathered to hear their findings. The vibrant decorations hung from the walls, their colors gleaming under the warm lights. But Lydia couldn't help but notice a sense of underlying tension in the crowd. As she stepped inside, the whispers and murmurs faded into silence. All eyes turned toward her, and she felt the weight of expectations pressing heavily on her shoulders. Remember, this is about sharing the truth, no matter how complicated it may be, she reminded herself as she prepared to take the stage. But just as she opened her mouth to begin, she caught sight of Diane lurking at the edge of the assembly, arms crossed and a frown on her face. Is everyone ready for what this may stir up? Diane's voice cut through the silence, the skepticism in her tone echoing Lydia's own nagging doubts. Feeling the weight of Diane's challenge, Lydia took a deep breath, searching for the right words to reassure her team. I understand your concerns, but we have an opportunity to shed light on these stories and foster understanding, she replied, aiming to quell the tension. Diane remained skeptical, crossing her arms tighter. But what if people react poorly? This community has its own narratives, and not everyone is ready for a change. I get that, but should we let fear dictate our actions? This is about the truth of our history and reclaiming the princess's legacy, Lydia countered, steadying her resolve as uncertainty flickered in the faces of the villagers around them. Others in the room began to nod, sensing the sincerity in Lydia's voice, while Diane's expression softened slightly, though her hesitation remained. This moment of conflict underscored the challenge Lydia faced as a leader. Her determination to confront truths was as vital as her ability to reassure her peers amidst fear of the unknown. As the murmurs in the crowd grew, Lydia sensed the anxiety rising, and she knew she had to shift the energy back to a collaborative spirit. Let's remember why we're here, she said, her voice rising above the whispers. We've uncovered stories that can inspire our community and teach us something invaluable about our past. In the back, a familiar face chimed in. Peter, one of the younger historians. But what if those stories bring conflict? We need to be prepared for differing reactions. Lydia met his eyes, appreciating his pragmatic approach. That's why it's crucial we present the princess with honesty. It's about sharing not just her triumphs, but also her challenges. The team began to engage, discussing ways to frame their findings that honored the complexities of history while also fostering understanding. Lydia felt the momentum shift as people embraced the notion of shared narratives, their energy building toward a collective goal that resonated with everyone in the room. Lydia took a moment to absorb the weight of their discussion, recognizing the significance of the decisions they had to make moving forward. She steeled herself, realizing that she had to be the one to take the first step. We must honor the princess by sharing her story, even the parts that are difficult to talk about, she stated, feeling the gravity of her words sink in among the villagers. A low murmur swept through the crowd, indicating agreement but also apprehension. If we don't embrace the full spectrum of her life, we risk doing her memory a disservice, she continued, addressing the concerns head-on. Diane, still grappling with doubt, asked, "But how do we ensure that those who hear her story are receptive to the complexity?" Lydia pondered for a moment, but felt confident in her answer. By fostering discussions within our community and ensuring that every voice is heard, we can build understanding and empathy. As the conversation continued, Lydia noticed the growing enthusiasm among the villagers, their eyes reflecting hope as they began to embrace her vision. Perhaps we could hold a series of gatherings after the exhibition to encourage dialogue and reinforce our community connections, one historian suggested, sparking interest among the attendees. "That's a great idea," Lydia agreed, her excitement bubbling over. "We can create opportunities for everyone to share stories and ask questions." The energy in the room shifted, and Lydia felt the weight of doubt begin to lift as others started sharing their thoughts, suggesting additional ways to engage the community. "I think involving the youth could really make a difference. They're the future, after all," another member chimed in, reinforcing the sense of inclusivity. This collaboration energized Lydia further. It highlighted her ability to inspire collective action as they planned for future endeavors, deepening their commitment to the mission ahead. With plans taking shape, Lydia felt a sense of accomplishment wash over her as the villagers rallied around her vision. "Let's finalize the details. We can start these gatherings next week after the exhibition," she announced, feeling energized by the collective enthusiasm in the room. Alan raised his hand. "I can help organize the first meeting and reach out to the youth groups. They'll bring fresh perspectives." "That's perfect," Lydia replied, a smile spreading across her face as she relished the collaboration. As they discussed logistics, Lydia noticed the slight change in Diane's demeanor. Her earlier skepticism seemed to wane as she engaged more openly in conversations. "Perhaps I could assist with the storytelling aspect," Diane suggested hesitantly, indicating a willingness to contribute to the plans actively. This shift in attitude excited Lydia. She recognized the strength of teamwork and how her growth as a leader was fostering trust and inclusivity within the group. Chapter 23, The Strategic Alliances. Lydia stood at the edge of the village, the sun casting a warm glow as she prepared to set out on a new mission to gather support from the townsfolk. It was time to harness the energy from the recent exhibition and reach out to those who had shown interest in the princess's story. With her notebook in hand, she mentally reviewed the key points she needed to address: the importance of collaboration, the need to share their discoveries, and gathering more local legends. Taking a deep breath, she steeled herself for the conversations ahead, recognizing the opportunity that lay before her. As she walked through the village, the bustling sounds of daily life surrounded her, filling her with a sense of determination and purpose. Lydia felt empowered, her commitment to the mission strengthening with each step, ready to engage others and encourage them to embrace their shared history. As Lydia approached a cluster of villagers gathered at the market, she felt a mixture of excitement and nerves churning in her stomach. "Excuse me, everyone," she called out, raising her voice to capture their attention, her heart racing as she prepared to present her vision. The murmurs hushed as heads turned toward her, curiosity flickering in their eyes. "I'm here to talk about the princess's legacy and how we can preserve her story together," she started, her enthusiasm shining through despite her initial anxiety. A few villagers exchanged glances, and one older man cautioned, "We've heard stories before, but they often get twisted. What makes you think this is different?" Lydia met his gaze with confidence, determined to show that this journey was not only about the princess but also about the collective identity of their community. Feeling the weight of the man's skepticism, Lydia took a deep breath, determined to convey her message clearly. "I understand your concerns, but our goal is to honor her story and bring our history back into focus. It's essential that we do this responsibly, with the community's input," she replied, her voice steady and sincere. The crowd murmured, some nodding in agreement while others remained cautious, glances exchanged between those who believed in her vision and those who feared the repercussions. History isn't just about tales of glory, it's about the entire narrative, including the trials and tribulations. That's how we can truly connect with her legacy, Lydia continued, her passion igniting in the eyes of those listening. A young woman from the back spoke up. If we approach this with honesty, we might actually inspire others to engage rather than turn away. This moment allowed Lydia to sense a small shift in the air, an opening where collaboration might flourish amid their fears and hesitations. Lydia felt the encouragement from the young woman's words ripple through the crowd, igniting a spark of hope among the villagers. "Let's not shy away from the truth," she urged, her voice ringing with conviction. "The princess's complexities are what make her story real. They are what we need to remember." As her words settled, she could see the hesitant nods from some villagers, a sign that they were beginning to grasp the importance of their shared narrative. "Well, if we're going to do this, let's do it right," the older man said, his tone less skeptical as he stepped forward. "We must ensure we honor her memory while speaking her truth." Lydia caught his eye, recognizing a shift, a willingness to engage and explore the narrative further, a possible ally emerging from the shadows of doubt. Feeling a surge of confidence, she responded, "Absolutely. Together, we can shape a narrative that resonates with our community and honors the legacy of the princess." As talk of the exhibition continued, Lydia felt a renewed sense of excitement growing in the crowd, fueled by their collaborative spirit. Villagers exchanged ideas about how to present the princess's story, each voice contributing to the evolving narrative and enhancing Lydia's vision. "Let's create a mural that depicts key moments of her life," one of the artists suggested, his eyes lighting up with inspiration. "That's a brilliant idea. It will draw people in and allow them to engage visually with her story," Lydia responded, feeling invigorated by their creativity. The collective brainstorming infused a sense of ownership among the villagers, reinforcing the importance of their shared history and mutual responsibility. With each suggestion, Lydia noticed that existing tensions were dissolving, replaced by enthusiasm and unity, as they worked together to craft a legacy that belonged to them all. As they finalized their plans for the exhibition, Lydia felt a profound sense of satisfaction wash over her. "We're not just planning an event, we're creating a movement to honor our past," she declared, her confidence resonating through the gathered crowd. She glanced at their colorful notes and sketches, a tapestry of ideas that reflected the enthusiasm of each member. One villager, watching Lydia with newfound respect, said, "Your leadership has brought us together in ways I didn't think were possible." Lydia felt a warmth in her chest at the acknowledgement, recognizing how much their shared journey had enriched her own understanding of community. "We all have a role in this," she replied, determination shining in her eyes. "And together, we can ensure that the legacy of the princess endures for generations to come." Chapter 24, The Major Decision. Lydia stood at the crossroads, her heart racing as she contemplated the two paths ahead, the one leading to safety and the other toward the unknown depths of the ruins filled with tantalizing secrets. "Are we really going to risk it?" Diane's voice broke through her thoughts, her expression a mix of fear and concern as she surveyed their surroundings. Lydia felt the weight of the moment settle upon her like a thick fog, understanding that the choice she made would define the group's journey. "We've come too far to turn back now. We need to embrace this opportunity to uncover the truth," she responded firmly, her voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling within her. The group hesitated, sensing the gravity of the decision, yet Lydia's resolve began to inspire her allies. Taking a deep breath, she made her decision clear. "We'll go into the ruins together. It's time to face whatever lies ahead." Once Lydia resolved to lead them into the ruins, she gathered her team closer, rallying them with a sense of urgency. "Let's secure our supplies and gather anything we might need for our exploration," she instructed, her hands moving purposefully as she distributed equipment. The team sprang into action, packing their bags with tools, notebooks, and lanterns, mobilizing around Lydia's command with newfound determination. "Make sure you check your gear," she reminded them, feeling a rush of adrenaline as the plan solidified. Alon finished tying his rope and called out, "What's our backup plan if we encounter more traps?" Lydia considered the question, realizing the importance of being prepared for the unexpected. "We'll proceed with caution, using our knowledge to navigate any challenges we face. If we stay alert, we can overcome anything." Her confidence seemed to ripple through the group, reinforcing the notion that they could handle whatever lay ahead, and together they moved toward the door of the ruins, ready to embrace the unknown. As they approached the entrance of the ruins, Lydia felt a palpable tension in the air, a contrast to the energy of determination emanating from her teammates. "Does everyone know their roles?" she asked, scanning the group to ensure they were ready for the challenges that awaited them. Alan nodded, checking over his gear one last time. "I'll take point and ensure we're safe as we move in." Diane, still wearing an uncertain expression, spoke up. "What if we run into unexpected threats? We can't let fear cloud our judgment." Lydia acknowledged her concern, responding with a steady voice. "We prepare for the worst, but we must also keep our eyes open for opportunities. Remember, we've faced danger before and come out stronger." The group exchanged encouraging glances, a sense of camaraderie igniting as they focused on their shared objective. Feeling the weight of their trust, Lydia's confidence solidified. She knew that their combined strength and resilience would guide them through whatever obstacles lay ahead. With everyone in position, Lydia felt her heart racing as she prepared to take a decisive step forward into the ruins. "Let's keep our voices low and communicate frequently. We don't know what's waiting for us inside," she instructed, her voice steady, leading the way through the door. The atmosphere shifted as they crossed the threshold, the sensation of stepping into an ancient world enveloping them like a cold mist. Once inside, Lydia illuminated the chamber with her lantern, revealing intricate carvings on the walls that spoke of a time long past. "Look at those markings," Alon said, pointing to symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. "They might contain clues about the princess's journey." Encouraged by his enthusiasm, Lydia nodded, directing the group to spread out and examine the details closely, ready to uncover the truths hidden within these walls. As Lydia explored the chamber, her excitement grew with each illustration she encountered, each one unfolding another layer of the princess's story. She was momentarily distracted by a low rumble echoing through the chamber, jolting her back to the pressing reality of their surroundings. "Did you hear that?" she whispered, glancing toward Alon, who seemed equally alert, his previous excitement replaced by caution. "Yeah, it sounded like it's coming from deeper inside," he replied, his eyes scanning the shadows. Determined not to lose momentum, Lydia gathered her courage, whispering, "We need to move cautiously and stay together. There could be traps or other dangers." Her heart thrummed with adrenaline as she focused on leading the group, aware that this was a pivotal moment. Their bravery and teamwork were about to be put to the test. With hearts pounding in unison, the group moved deeper into the chamber, each step echoing in the silence as they navigated the intricate pathways. Lydia felt a blend of excitement and trepidation. The unknown loomed ahead, intermingled with the history they were determined to uncover. As they pressed forward, she noticed markings on the walls that glimmered in the lantern light, resembling the symbols they had deciphered earlier. "This is where the real treasure lies," Lydia said, her voice filled with awe as they approached a particularly elaborate carving. "Should we document this first?" Diane suggested, her caution surfacing again as she pulled out her notebook. Lydia took a moment to assess the blend of excitement and uncertainty in her team, understanding that their safety relied on both thoroughness and the willingness to embrace the risks of exploration. Chapter 25, The Preparations. Lydia gathered her team in the clearing after a long day of exploration, the evening sun casting a warm glow on their weary faces. "Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've accomplished and what lies ahead," she said, her tone authoritative yet encouraging. As they settled around her, Lydia spread out the maps and notes they had collected, eager to review their findings. "Here are the areas we've explored so far," she explained, tracing her finger along the map, "but we still have several leads to follow in the village and beyond." Alon chimed in. We need to prioritize which leads to pursue, especially with our time running short. Feeling the weight of responsibility, Lydia nodded, determined to keep their momentum going while ensuring that their efforts were focused on meaningful discoveries. Lydia felt a surge of urgency as she reviewed the notes, recognizing the pressing need to refine their strategy based on their recent discoveries. "Let's map out which leads we feel will yield the most valuable information," she suggested, her voice steady as she engaged the group. One of the younger historians, Sarah, spoke up. "We should focus on the oral histories from the villagers. They may hold keys to understanding the princess in ways we haven't considered." "Good point," Lydia replied, jotting down the suggestion, aware that integrating different perspectives could enhance their findings. Another team member added, "But we also need to consider the risks associated with some villagers. Not everyone will be open to sharing their truths." Lydia nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility as she balanced their ambitions with the potential dangers, committed to navigating the complexities ahead. As the team continued to discuss their strategy, Lydia could feel varying levels of enthusiasm and apprehension affecting the group's dynamics. "I want us to approach each villager respectfully, ready to listen," she emphasized, her voice firm as she aimed to unify their purpose. However, Diane crossed her arms, skepticism painting her features again. "What if they resist? We might end up causing more friction than finding allies." Lydia met her gaze, aware that Diane's fears were rooted in past experiences. "I understand your concern, but we're here to collaborate and rebuild trust. We need to show them that we genuinely care about their stories." The tension stirred again, but Lydia remained composed, feeling the weight of leadership settle in. "Let's plan accordingly. Divide our tasks so we can maximize our outreach," she suggested, hoping to shift the focus back to action and away from doubt. This moment illustrated Lydia's growth. She was learning to navigate the complexities of team dynamics and turn apprehensions into actionable strategies. Lydia organized the roles with clear intent, a sense of authority guiding her decisions as she addressed the team. "Alan, you can team up with Sarah to connect with the younger villagers. They might have different perspectives," she said, her eyes scanning the group. "Diane, you and I will approach the elders. They tend to hold the most significant pieces of history, and we need their insights." Diane nodded, a flicker of determination crossing her face, revealing a willingness to contribute positively. The rest of the group quickly moved to capture their respective responsibilities, excitement building as they recognized the potential impact of their collaboration. Feeling the surge of progress, Lydia smiled, knowing that each task was a vital piece of the larger puzzle they were working to solve. With a firm resolve, she concluded, "Let's reconvene at the end of the day to share what we've uncovered and adapt our strategy accordingly." With their tasks assigned, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose as she watched her team prepare to set off. "Stay alert and remember to document everything you discover," she reminded them, ensuring that each member recognized the importance of their contributions. Alan gathered his supplies, shooting her a grateful glance. "We'll make sure to capture any compelling stories," he said, his confidence buoyed by the structure she provided. As the group divided to pursue their tasks, Lydia felt a mix of pride and urgency. The sense of opportunity ahead was palpable, but so were the risks they faced. Watching them disperse, Lydia took a moment to mentally review her own role, reminding herself that she had to maintain focus while being adaptable to whatever came next. This mindset underscored her growth. She had embraced the weight of leadership, ready to guide her team through the uncertainty while remaining committed to their shared mission. As Lydia prepared to set out on her own task, she glanced at the bustling village around her, feeling a sense of determination fuel her step. She focused on recalling the stories shared by the villagers, knowing those narratives held the keys to building connections and trust. "Okay, let's see what the elders know," she murmured to herself, her heart steady as she moved with purpose through the streets. The familiar sights felt vibrant today, filled with newfound significance as she considered each interaction an opportunity to uncover pieces of history. Approaching the first elder's home, she knocked with anticipation, ready to engage and learn, reminding herself of the importance of every conversation. With each encounter, Lydia felt empowered to address past complexities while ensuring their legacy was respected, prepared to embrace whatever truths lay ahead. Chapter 26, The Test of Trust. Lydia felt a sudden tension in the air as she arrived at the village square, ready to share her findings with the community after weeks of research. The setup for the discussion was lively, with villagers gathered around, yet an undercurrent of unease rippled among them as she approached the podium. Today, we unveil what we've uncovered about the princess and how her story resonates with our own, she announced, her heart racing with excitement and apprehension. However, as she finished speaking, she noticed a familiar figure, Marcus, slipping in at the edge of the crowd, his presence immediately shifting the atmosphere. Feeling a knot of tension form in her stomach, Lydia knew this was a moment where everything they had worked for could hang in the balance. Let's keep our focus on the princess's legacy, she reminded herself, wanting to assert her commitment despite the unpredictable variables at play. As Lydia stepped up to the podium, she took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle over her. Today, we gather not just to share stories, but to reclaim a legacy that has been part of our history for far too long, she stated, her voice steady. With each word, she sought to ignite a sense of unity among the villagers, hoping to compel them to open their hearts to the complexities of the princess's narrative. However, she continued, her gaze shifting toward Marcus, history is filled with challenges, and confronting them is essential. Marcus smirked, arms crossed. Are you really suggesting that we should celebrate the failures alongside her achievements? That sounds like a recipe for division. The murmurs in the crowd intensified, uncertainty hanging in the air as the villagers grappled with implications of Lydia's contention. Feeling the pressure rise, Lydia turned to the crowd, her eyes scanning their expressions, trying to gauge the impact of the confrontation. We owe it to the princess to tell the full story, to understand not just what she accomplished but also the struggles she endured, she said, her voice rising against Marcus's taunts. Alan stepped forward, supporting her statement. It's about honoring her memory, embracing the complexities instead of hiding from them. Lydia sensed a shift in the crowd's energy. Curiosity mingled with skepticism as people began to murmur among themselves, contemplating her words. Do we really want to revisit the past so openly? Someone questioned, the doubt threading through the assembly like a current. Despite the uncertainty, Lydia pressed on, confidence swelling within her as she asserted, yes, we do. Embracing our history, even the difficult parts, strengthens our community. Lydia took a step closer to the edge of the podium, feeling the warmth of the crowd's attention. This is not just about the princess anymore. This is about us, learning from our history to shape a better future, she declared, hoping to connect with their collective spirit. The audience began to murmur affirmatively, reflecting the impact of her passion, but she could still sense the fissures of doubt sparking within the crowd. Embracing the entirety of her story means courageous conversations. It's time we acknowledge the complexity and allow it to foster unity among us rather than division, she urged, her voice strong enough to reach the back of the room. Lydia could see some villagers nodding, their expressions shifting as her words resonated with their own desires for understanding. This fight for the princess's legacy is also a fight for our identity, she added, reinforcing her commitment to bridging history with the community's present and future. As Lydia concluded her passionate speech, she could feel a wave of determination ripple through the crowd, transforming the earlier tension into a palpable energy. Diane stood in front, a contemplative expression crossing her face. You make a compelling argument, Lydia, but what if people backlash against this truth? We need to be prepared for resistance. Lydia felt the weight of Diane's concerns, but remained resolute. We can't let fear dictate our pursuit for honesty. If we approach the truth with respect and compassion, we can build bridges rather than walls. The murmurs of agreement began to swell as several villagers nodded, their skepticism slowly giving way to curiosity and support. Perhaps it's time we started to have these conversations openly, one villager said, his tone shifting from doubt to intrigue. This moment of reflection encouraged Lydia, reinforcing her belief that the strength of their community lay in their willingness to face history with integrity. With renewed energy in the air, Lydia harnessed the momentum and addressed the crowd once more. Let's commit to gathering more stories and truths. We'll create a collective narrative that honors the complexity of our history, she declared, her voice vibrant with conviction. The villagers responded enthusiastically, expressions lighting up as they began to envision their contributions to the project. Alon chimed in, raising his hand. We can recruit volunteers to help document the stories and plan community gatherings to share our findings together. Lydia nodded, feeling exhilaration course through her as she realized how the community was rallying around their collective vision. I love that idea. The more voices we include, the more powerful our presentation will be, she responded, the sense of shared purpose reinvigorating their resolve. This moment solidified her belief in the strength of collaboration, reinforcing how each step they took brought them closer to honoring the princess's legacy. Chapter 27, The Final Adjustments. Lydia stood at the designated meeting point, excitement coursing through her as she prepared to finalize her plans for the upcoming expedition. The air was thick with anticipation as her team members began to arrive, their faces illuminated by the morning sunlight and enthusiasm for the task ahead. Today, we implement our strategies and see how far we can push our discoveries, she said, addressing the group with a smile, her confidence bubbling over. She spread out their findings on a nearby table, reviewing the information they had gathered about the princess and reinforcing their collective mission. Let's double-check our supplies and confirm everyone knows their roles before we set out, Lydia instructed, feeling the weight of leadership settle upon her. Excited chatter filled the space as team members exchanged ideas, highlighting their own readiness, reinforcing the bonds they had built as a group, dedicated to uncovering the past. Lydia watched closely as each member of the team checked their gear, ensuring everyone was prepared for what lay ahead. Remember to gather any supplies or information that could be useful, she reminded them, her tone firm but encouraging as she moved among the group. Oliver was busy organizing their maps, his focus unwavering as he laid them out for everyone to see. We should highlight the key locations on our route. This will help us stay efficient, he suggested, his meticulous nature shining through. Lydia felt a sense of pride as she observed the enthusiasm of her team, understanding that their collaborative efforts reflected their growth as a cohesive unit. However, Diane seemed preoccupied, glancing anxiously around the area, her mind evidently elsewhere. Are we prepared for any unexpected encounters based on the stories we've heard? She asked, her concern hinting at the lingering tensions from previous experiences. Lydia paused for a moment, considering the potential risks, but felt the confidence within her growing. We'll stay alert and make decisions as needed. Trust in each other is what will guide us, she assured her, ready to lead the way. As Lydia finalized the details of their plan, she felt a sense of urgency in the air, knowing that every moment counted. Let's divide ourselves strategically. I'll take the lead with a team to the ruins while the others gather local insights, she announced, her voice firm as she laid out the new approach. Alon stepped forward. I'd prefer to stick together, even if that means a slower pace. We're stronger as a unit. Lydia met his gaze, appreciating his desire for cohesion but feeling the weight of their timeline pressing down. I know, but we won't be effective unless we cover more ground. I promise we'll regroup and share everything. The group's expressions fluctuated between support and uncertainty, revealing a complex web of emotions tied to their relationships and the mission. Trust me, we can make adjustments based on what we learn as we go, she said, hoping to dispel any lingering fears while instilling confidence in the plan. This moment showcased Lydia's growth. She was learning to balance her leadership with openness to dialogue, preparing them to face any obstacles that lay ahead. With the plan laid out, Lydia felt a mix of excitement and trepidation as the group began to prepare for their respective goals. Don't forget to communicate any significant findings once we split up. It's crucial to keep the lines of information open, she insisted, ensuring everyone understood the importance of staying connected. Team members nodded, their expressions a blend of determination and anxiety as they gathered their supplies. "Let's not lose sight of our main objective here," Diane reminded the group, a hint of urgency in her voice as she organized her notes. "We can't afford to let distractions derail us." Lydia appreciated Diane's perspective, but felt compelled to assure the team. "Distractions can lead to discoveries. We need to remain flexible and ready to adapt." This moment underscored the varying viewpoints in the group, a necessity to navigate through complexities, but Lydia remained steadfast, knowing that their combined strengths would propel them forward. With everything arranged, Lydia began to feel the pulse of excitement as the team prepared to set off on their respective tasks. "Remember, we've all committed to this mission. Let's use our strengths to make it a success," she encouraged, fostering motivation among her allies. Alon tightened his backpack, a grin on his face. "We're on the brink of discovery, and I can't wait to see what we find." As the team members dispersed, Lydia felt a sense of leadership solidifying within her. This was a chance to put into practice everything she had learned on their journey so far. However, she also sensed an undercurrent of doubt in some members, particularly Diane, whose hesitation lingered like a shadow. "Stick together and stay alert. The last thing we want is to lose sight of our objectives," Lydia reiterated, her voice confident, reassuring her team as they prepared to face whatever challenges awaited them. As Lydia watched the team members set off, she took a moment to gather her thoughts, feeling the weight of their mission pressing on her. "Let's meet back here later to share our findings and strategize on our next steps," she called out, reinforcing the importance of communication. The response was enthusiastic. Members nodded and exchanged encouraging remarks as they broke apart into their task groups, a sense of shared purpose flowing among them. Feeling the adrenaline surge, Lydia stepped forward, recalling her previous lessons on leadership and collaboration. As she made her way toward the village, she checked her supplies once more, ensuring she was fully equipped for the tasks ahead. Determined to lead effectively, she reminded herself that overcoming unexpected challenges would require adaptability, and she was ready to face them with confidence. Chapter 28, The Execution of the Plan. Lydia stood at the entrance of the ancient ruins, her heart pounding with anticipation as her team gathered around her, ready to execute the carefully crafted plan. The air was thick with tension as they prepared for the confrontation that lay ahead, the culmination of their hard work and determination. "Remember our roles, stay alert, and let's focus on the objective," she instructed, her voice steady as she looked around at each member, gauging their readiness. Oliver adjusted his gear with a nod, while Diane stood a bit apart, determination mixed with apprehension etched across her face. "Whatever happens, we stick together," Lydia reminded them, feeling the weight of leadership settle firmly on her shoulders. As she stepped forward into the shadowy interior, the thrill of the unknown ignited her spirit. This was their moment to uncover the truth and honor the princess's legacy. As they entered the chamber, Lydia felt the air grow cooler, her senses heightened as the anticipation wrapped around them like a tangible force. "Stay close and keep your eyes open. We don't know what we might encounter," she whispered, ensuring her team was alert and focused. They moved cautiously, the flickering light from their lantern casting shadows that danced along the ancient walls, revealing carvings and symbols that hinted at the history contained within. Lydia scanned the surroundings, her mind racing with questions about what they might uncover, each sound causing her to pause and assess. When Alon gestured toward a faint glimmer in the corner, her heart skipped a beat as they both approached it with cautious curiosity. "This could be an important clue about the princess," he said, excitement tinged with caution, and Lydia felt a rush of adrenaline as they prepared to discover what awaited them. As they neared the glimmering object, Lydia's pulse quickened, anticipation mingling with caution as they moved carefully. Oliver whispered, "What do you think it is?" his eyes wide with curiosity as they approached the mysterious artifact resting atop a stone altar. Lydia leaned in, her heart pounding as she brushed away dust to reveal an ornate pendant, intricately designed with symbols similar to those in the chamber. "This could be connected to the princess," she said, excitement bubbling in her chest as she carefully lifted the pendant, feeling its weight in her palm. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the entrance, causing them all to freeze, their hearts racing as they turned to see a group of bandits entering the chamber, eyes darting towards the artifacts. Realizing the danger, Lydia's instincts kicked in. She quickly tucked the pendant into her pocket, ready to protect her team and what they had uncovered. Panic surged through Lydia as the bandits advanced, their intentions clear as they eyed the treasures within the chamber. "Stay behind me," she shouted, positioning herself protectively in front of her team, instinctively preparing for confrontation. Alon gripped her arm, urgency evident in his eyes. "What's the plan? We can't let them take anything." Lydia glanced around, assessing their options, and determined they needed to outsmart the intruders rather than resort to violence. "We need a distraction to get out of here safely," she replied, her mind racing. "Over by that pile of stones," she pointed, recalling how they could use the environment to their advantage. "If we can create a diversion, it might throw them off." With quick, decisive movements, Lydia began gathering loose stones, urging her team to help her create a makeshift barrier, determined to protect both their discoveries and each other. Lydia's heart raced as she quickly piled stones, her hands working feverishly as the bandits closed in, their laughter echoing ominously in the chamber. "On the count of 3, we'll make a run for it," she instructed, glancing at her team, who were mirroring her efforts to create the distraction while keeping an eye on their opponents. "Ready? 1, 2, 3, Lydia shouted, hurling a cluster of stones toward the far side of the chamber, the noise startling the bandits. As the stones crashed against the wall, the bandits momentarily diverted their attention, confusion flickering across their faces. "Now!" Lydia called, leading her team towards the exit as they sprinted for safety, adrenaline fueling their escape. Her quick thinking had paid off, and as they dashed through the door, Lydia felt a surge of triumph ripple through her. She had effectively managed to protect her team and their discoveries. Once outside the chamber, Lydia glanced back to ensure the bandits were not following, the adrenaline still coursing through her veins as they regrouped in the safety of the trees. "Is everyone all right?" she asked, conducting a quick check, relieved to see nods and sighs of relief from her team. Alon caught his breath beside her, a grin spreading across his face. "That was brilliant. I didn't think we'd get out of there." Lydia felt a mix of exhilaration and gratitude. "We worked together, and that made all the difference," she replied, her heart swelling with pride in their teamwork. Diane, who had been quieter during the escape, spoke up. "But we can't let our guard down. They'll be back." Lydia understood the gravity of the situation, acknowledging the unease that lingered. "You're right. We need to reevaluate our next steps and be strategic about our approach." This realization reinforced her growth. She was learning to lead effectively while recognizing the challenges that came with it, determined to turn their close call into a lesson for the future. Chapter 29, The Aftermath. After the narrow escape from the bandits, Lydia and her team gathered in a nearby clearing to assess the situation. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows that mirrored the anxiety lingering in the air amongst the group. Lydia could feel the tension as she reviewed their recent experiences, contemplating the failures and losses they had faced during their exploration. "Everyone, let's take a moment to reflect on what just happened and how we can adapt," she said, her voice steady as she sought to redirect the energy in the group. The team settled around her, listening intently as she pointed out the need for clear communication and preparation for any contingencies moving forward. "We learned that we have to be ready for anything, and we can't let fear define our journey. Let's outline our next steps with that in mind," she suggested, determined to keep their focus as the stakes grew higher. Lydia began to revisit the strategy they had set earlier, her mind racing through the options available to them after their close call. "First, we need to make sure everyone has the right supplies. Let's double-check what we have," she instructed, pacing slightly as she gathered her thoughts. Alon pulled out the list of items they had compiled, looking serious as he compared it to their current inventory. "We're running low on food and some of the tools. We need to restock before we head back." Lydia nodded, feeling the urgency of his words pressing down on her. That means we need to return to the village before we can continue our search. It'll give us a chance to regroup and gain more support. Lydia glanced around at her team, the weight of the decision lingering in the air as they absorbed the implications of the setback. Let's reach out to the villagers once more. They may have heard new information or additional resources we can use, she added, determined not to let the situation deter their progress. This moment of recalibration underscored her growth as a leader. She was learning to navigate challenges, adapting plans while motivating her team to stay focused on their mission. As Lydia finalized the plans, she sensed the mood in the group had shifted from apprehension to cautious optimism. Let's reach out to the villagers we met earlier. They might still be willing to share what they know, she proposed, hoping to encourage collaboration moving forward. Diane, still shadowed with doubt, interjected, "But what if they've become wary of us? We did cause quite a stir during the exhibition." Lydia considered her words carefully, acknowledging the fear that lingered in the community. "That's why we need to approach them with humility and purpose. We have to prove our commitment to honoring the past." Alon nodded, his determination evident. "And if we can share what we've already uncovered, it might win their trust back." Feeling empowered by her teammates' willingness to adapt, Lydia felt a surge of confidence. She knew that navigating this sensitive landscape would require both resilience and strategic foresight. As Lydia laid out the plans, she could see apprehension etched on some of her team members' faces, each concerned about how the villagers would react. "If we're going to approach them, we need to emphasize how we seek to honor their stories and the history connected to the princess," she urged, recognizing the importance of framing their intentions carefully. "I think we should prepare to answer any questions they might have about our findings," Diane suggested, trying to keep the conversation focused on actionable steps. Lydia appreciated the input, feeling a sense of solidarity. "Yes, being transparent about our discoveries will be crucial in rebuilding trust," she agreed, her determination shining through. As they prepared their approach, Lydia felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. This mission was not only about uncovering the past, but also about connecting with the community. With that in mind, she organized her thoughts and materials, knowing that conveying their commitment would set the stage for the conversations that lay ahead. As they gathered their supplies, Lydia could sense a shift in the group's mood, a cautious anticipation replacing the earlier tension. "Remember, we're not just seeking information. We're looking to build relationships," she reminded them, her voice clear and steady. Alon nodded, his enthusiasm evident as he finished packing his bag. "If we can show the villagers that we honor their stories, it will help us regain their trust." The others murmured in agreement, their expressions reflecting a mix of determination and renewed hope as they prepared to reconnect with the community. Lydia felt encouraged by their positive reactions. Her mind raced with the possibilities that lay ahead, understanding the importance of earning the community's trust again. With their mission clear and the promise of collaboration lingering in the air, Lydia felt ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited her group. As Lydia stepped outside, the fresh air washed over her, invigorating her senses as she mentally prepared for the upcoming interactions with the villagers. The bustling sounds of the market filled her ears, a vibrant reminder of the life surrounding her, contrasting with her earlier uncertainties. "Let's approach this with confidence and openness," she encouraged her team, solidifying the group's collective resolve, feeling the excitement begin to bubble up. As they walked toward the center of the village, Lydia noticed villagers exchanging wary glances, their earlier skepticism still present in the back of their minds. She took a deep breath, understanding that rebuilding trust would require more than words. It demanded sincerity and commitment. With her heart steady, Lydia squared her shoulders, ready to lead her team into this crucial conversation. Determined to prove their mission was about more than uncovering the past. It was about forging a path forward together. Chapter 30, The Moment of Clarity. Lydia stood at the edge of the village, the weight of her mission pressing down on her as she prepared for the confrontation ahead. The air was thick with anticipation, the hum of activity around her barely registering as she focused intently on the task at hand. Determined to seek the truth, she reflected on everything they had discovered thus far, the stories shared, the lessons learned, and the connections made along the way. It was time to act, to put everything she had learned into motion, and now she felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited her. "A single decision can alter the course of our journey," she murmured to herself, feeling a blend of apprehension and resolve coursing through her. With her mind set, she took a moment to gather her thoughts, mentally preparing for the action that would unfold in the heart of the village. Lydia approached the town center, her heart pounding with determination as she stepped into the gathering filled with villagers eager to hear what she had to say. She climbed the small platform, her palms slightly sweaty against the wooden railing, but she tightened her grip, focusing on the sea of faces before her. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice firm as she sought to capture their attention. "Today, we discuss not only the princess's legacy, but the lessons we can draw from her life." The crowd murmured with anticipation, some faces reflecting excitement, while others still seemed skeptical of her intentions. Her story is one of courage and complexity, and it's time we embrace both sides, Lydia declared, feeling the urgency of the moment as she pressed on. With each word, she aimed to bridge the gap between doubt and understanding, ready to invite them into a conversation that could redefine their shared history. As Lydia spoke passionately about the princess's journey, she noticed a mix of expressions forming in the crowd. Some faces reflected intrigue, while others wore skepticism. "Are you really suggesting that we should accept her failures as part of her legacy?" a voice shouted from the back, the challenge palpable. Lydia took a deep breath, ready to address the challenge directly. Yes, recognizing her struggles gives depth to her story. We must understand that every individual, especially a leader, faces challenges that shape their character. The murmurs intensified, revealing the divide among the villagers. "But why should we expose those weaknesses?" another villager chimed in, clearly wrestling with the implications. "Well," Lydia replied, her voice steady, "acknowledging those weaknesses is what allows us to connect with her, as humans, as people striving for something greater." The crowd remained tense, but Lydia's conviction hung in the air, challenging them to reconsider their perspectives and embrace the complexity of their shared history. Lydia felt the atmosphere shift as her words began to resonate with some in the crowd. "I want to honor her memory by sharing the full truth, not just the idealized version," she continued, her voice rising slightly, filled with conviction. A young woman in the front spoke up, her tone sincere. "If we embrace both her strength and her challenges, we can learn valuable lessons for ourselves." Lydia watched as heads began to nod in agreement, the seeds of change taking root among the villagers. "Exactly. Together we can create a narrative that feels real and respectful," Lydia said, her confidence swelling as she noticed several others stepping forward to share their stories. This moment solidified her belief that her vulnerability in sharing both triumphs and failures could indeed inspire a stronger connection within the community. With the crowd support growing, Lydia felt a sense of hope as she prepared to guide them toward a collective understanding. "Let's share our stories, our histories. It's time to bring forth not only the tales of our triumphs, but also the lessons learned from our failures," she encouraged, her voice steady and passionate. Villagers began to step forward, sharing anecdotes that connected their experiences to the prince's legacy, weaving a tapestry of shared history. Lydia listened intently, taking notes, feeling the energy shift as connections were being made, creating bonds within the community that had been longing for unity. In this moment of openness, her heart swelled with pride. They were not just participants, but active storytellers in their own right. This realization underscored the transformation happening within her community, reinforcing how her leadership was inspiring others to engage with their history in meaningful ways. As the villagers shared their stories, Lydia felt a profound sense of connectedness envelop the gathering, each narrative building upon the last. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as people slowly began to see the princess not just as a figure of the past, but as a reflection of their own struggles and aspirations. Her courage to face challenges is like the challenges we confront today, one villager noted, drawing parallels that further united the group. Lydia smiled, heartened by the impact of their shared experiences, realizing that they had woven a new narrative together, one rooted in authenticity. Let's make this legacy live on by embracing our truth and encouraging the open sharing of history, she suggested, her voice steady as she proposed a collective commitment. The crowd erupted in agreement, signaling a shift not just in their understanding of history, but in their aspirations to shape their future together, a testament to Lydia's growth as a leader and guide. Chapter 31, The Return Home. Lydia returned to the familiar surroundings of her home, the scent of her mother's cooking enveloping her like a warm embrace. The vibrant colors and sounds of the village faded into a comforting backdrop as she stepped inside, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions from the recent exhibition. As she settled into her workspace, she took a moment to reflect on the past weeks, how far she had come, the stories uncovered, and the connections forged within the community. The remnants of adventurous uncertainty lingered in her mind, but she felt a growing sense of purpose, ready to delve back into the world of history. With a new sense of determination, she organized her notes, reviewing the feedback she had received and the lessons learned throughout the journey. Every artifact and story she had encountered buzzed in her mind, inspiring her to channel this energy into her ongoing research and future plans. As Lydia began reviewing her earlier notes, she felt a familiar sense of excitement ignite within her. She marked essential points on her map and artifacts, documenting the discoveries that would guide her next steps and connecting them to wider historical narratives. "Let's see how I can pull this all together," she murmured, flipping through her research, her thoughts spinning with the possibilities that lay in front of her. The details of each story seemed to pulsate with urgency, urging her to dive deeper into their significance while considering the impact on the community. With each note she added, Lydia felt a stronger connection forming not just to the past, but to the people who had shared those histories with her. This time, she approached the task with a sense of clarity and purpose, ready to harness her insights into tangible actions that would further their mission. Lydia's concentration broke when she heard a knock on the door, pulling her from her thoughts. She opened it to find Diane standing outside, a hesitant look on her face, and Lydia's heart raced with uncertainty about the conversation that awaited. "Can we talk?" Diane requested, stepping inside with a mixture of apprehension and determination. "Of course," Lydia replied, leading her to a cozy corner of the room filled with artifacts and notes. After they settled, Diane sighed, glancing around at the remnants of their recent exhibition. "I've been reflecting on our last conversation. I want to make sure we're really considering everything before we move forward." Lydia appreciated her honesty, recognizing the importance of addressing concerns as they pressed on with their mission. "I understand, Diane. Every perspective is valuable, and we must be thorough in our approach. I just want to make sure we're being thoughtful about how we present the princess's story," Diane continued, her voice steady yet laced with unease. Lydia nodded, recognizing the weight of the concern. "Absolutely. I agree that we need to ensure our narrative is respectful and accurate. But what if we bring up things that some people aren't ready to hear? Are we prepared for backlash?" Diane asked, her expression earnest. Lydia paused, understanding the delicate line they were walking. Truth can be unsettling, but it's also essential. We can't let fear of criticism keep us from honoring her legacy. Diane met her gaze, acknowledging the strength behind Lydia's words, but still wrestling with her apprehensions. "I hope you're right. I just don't want our findings to divide the community further." Lydia felt the weight of Diane's concerns, fully aware of the risks involved, but confident they could navigate the complexities together. As their conversation unfolded, Lydia felt a wave of determination surge within her, driven by the belief in the mission they were undertaking together. "We have a responsibility to honor the complexity of her life," Lydia emphasized, her voice steady as she turned the discussion back to their goals. Diane listened, slowly beginning to see the importance of Lydia's perspective. If we approach this with transparency, we might just bring the community together, she conceded, a new understanding dawning in her eyes. Exactly, Lydia replied, feeling a sense of hope. By sharing everything, we allow for growth and dialogue. It's not about erasing the past, but about enriching our connection to it. This moment seemed to bridge the gap between them, reinforcing their alliance and highlighting the potential for growth within their community. Lydia recognized that the journey would not be without its challenges, but with each step they took, they edged closer to a legacy rooted in truth and understanding. With their discussion drawing to a close, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose as she gathered her team once more. Now that we understand the importance of sharing this narrative, let's move forward with determination, she proposed, her voice filled with enthusiasm. The group responded with nods of agreement, their earlier apprehension giving way to a collective ambition that filled the room with energy. Let's write down our roles and make sure everyone knows what they will do to prepare for the community presentation, Lydia continued, feeling the weight of leadership settle comfortably upon her shoulders. Alon jumped in. I can coordinate with the younger villagers to help them prepare their stories for the exhibition. Lydia smiled, appreciating his proactive approach. Great idea. Let's ensure we are all in sync as we move forward, she said, the excitement and assurance in her voice galvanizing the team. In this moment, she understood that they were not just telling history, they were reshaping their future together, and her leadership was guiding them toward that vision. Chapter 32, The Healing Bonds. Lydia gathered her team in the familiar meeting space at the community center, ready to address the unresolved conflicts that lingered from their earlier endeavors. The atmosphere buzzed with a mix of excitement and apprehension as they settled into their seats, many visibly eager, but some still carrying uncertainty from their latest exploration. Thank you for coming together. I know we've faced challenges, and it's crucial that we address any concerns or misunderstandings, she began, her voice calm yet commanding attention. She scanned the room, noting the varying expressions on her teammates' faces, some eager to contribute while others appeared guarded. Diane, sitting with her arms crossed, broke the silence. What if we didn't do enough to prepare? What if we didn't listen closely enough? Lydia recognized the lingering fears held by her team and replied, It's natural to have reservations, but we've all shown immense growth in our understanding and commitment to this mission. This opening laid the foundation for their dialogue, emphasizing that moving forward required facing past misunderstandings together. Lydia, I think we need to be honest about what we really discovered, Diane said, her voice earnest, breaking the mounting tension in the room. What are you suggesting? Lydia asked, leaning in, sensing the importance of the conversation unfolding. Diane hesitated, choosing her words carefully. I mean, while we've shared good news, we also encountered serious risks during our last expedition. We can't ignore that. Lydia nodded, digesting Diane's words and the reality they represented. You're right. We need to address those risks head-on to ensure everyone is comfortable moving forward. More murmurs of agreement rippled through the group, a realization dawning that they must confront the complexities honestly. Let's capture both the successes and the difficulties we faced. This way we'll be more prepared when we present to the community, Lydia proposed, recognizing the value in transparency. As the conversation continued, Lydia encouraged her team to share their thoughts on how to approach the challenges they had encountered on their last expedition. Let's break into smaller groups to discuss what we saw and experienced. Each perspective is important as we prepare for our presentation, she suggested, wanting to ensure every voice was heard. Alon spoke up, his tone serious. I think we need to be upfront about our fears and not just focus on the successes. It could impact how the community perceives us. Lydia nodded in agreement, appreciating his insight. Transparency is essential. If we acknowledge our struggles, we're more likely to gain the community's trust. Diane added thoughtfully, we also need to highlight the teamwork that helped us overcome those obstacles. It's not just about individual experiences. Lydia felt a wave of gratitude. Each contribution enriched their discussion, reinforcing their commitment to unity and shared goals. Let's ensure we focus on collaboration. Together, we can turn every challenge into a learning opportunity, Lydia concluded, invigorated by their willingness to confront the complexities of their journey. As the teams divided into smaller groups, Lydia felt a renewed sense of purpose and urgency. She moved to the group, discussing their encounter with the villagers, eager to weave their findings into their overall narrative. Let's examine the feedback we received and how it relates to our findings about the princess, she encouraged, her enthusiasm infectious. One scholar raised a hand. I think we should also discuss how our relationship with the villagers can influence our future investigations. Lydia nodded, sensing the importance of addressing the dynamics within the community as they charted their course forward. Absolutely. Building trust will be essential not just for this mission, but for future ones as well, she replied, eager to emphasize the lasting impact of their engagement. As they discussed their strategies, Lydia noticed that some team members began to relax, their earlier anxieties melting away in the engaging atmosphere. By addressing our failures, we create room for growth and understanding, one young historian stated, emphasizing how their recounted struggles could strengthen their case. Lydia felt a wave of relief wash over her. Their previous conversations had culminated in a recognition that made her team more resilient. Exactly. Every obstacle we've faced can teach us valuable lessons, reinforcing our commitment to the princess's legacy, she replied, her confidence bolstered by their newfound openness. Their conversation began to shift toward actionable ideas, each voice contributing to a dynamic and collaborative plan that embraced both triumphs and challenges. In that moment, Lydia realized the importance of their shared journey. Each experience had sculpted their identities and fortified their purpose for what lay ahead. With the discussions wrapping up, Lydia felt a sense of accomplishment settle within her as she prepared to address the group once more. Let's pull together everything we've discussed and finalize our plans for the next steps, she said, her tone infused with determination and warmth. Villagers began to gather their notes, ready to contribute to the final structure of the exhibition, the atmosphere filled with a buoyant sense of collaboration. I'll coordinate with the local artists for the visual aspects, Alon offered, pen in hand, ready to jot down responsibilities. Lydia smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude for their collective energy. And I'll connect with the elders again to ensure we capture their stories accurately, she added, her heart swelling with conviction. As they organized their thoughts into a cohesive plan, Lydia recognized that each decision made now would pave the way for their future. She was not just shaping an exhibition, but nurturing a community's legacy together. Chapter 33, The New Beginning. Lydia stood before the gathered villagers once again, the excitement in the air palpable as she prepared to launch a new initiative inspired by their collective efforts. Today, we take a significant step forward, she announced, her heart swelling with pride and purpose as she surveyed the familiar faces in the crowd. With the exhibition behind them, the community buzzed with stories shared and connections made, creating a foundation for future explorations. Through your support and contributions, we'll establish a storytelling circle, inviting everyone to share their histories and engage in preserving our legacy, she continued, her voice steady and filled with determination. Lydia felt invigorated by the energy surrounding her. This was more than just a presentation. It was a movement toward honoring their shared past. As she spoke, she noticed some villagers exchanging excited glances, inspired by the possibilities that lay ahead and eager to contribute to the community's evolving narrative. As Lydia shared her vision for the storytelling circle, she could see the excitement building among the villagers, their expressions brightening with possibility. Let's not limit this to just our findings, she encouraged, but also invite local tales that connect to our histories, creating a rich tapestry of our community. One villager raised a hand, a smile spreading across his face. I have stories passed down from my grandparents about those who lived during the princess's time. Others chimed in, expressing their eagerness to share, their voices blending together in a chorus of anticipation. Lydia felt her heart swell as she recognized that they were beginning to forge deeper connections, inspired by the princess's legacy to explore their own stories. The chance to engage with their past was inspiring a wave of enthusiasm, signaling a fresh commitment among the villagers to participate in this initiative. Lydia felt a sense of joy as the conversation blossomed, the villagers sharing their stories that connected the past to their present and future aspirations. A woman near the front stood up, her voice filled with emotion. "I remember my grandmother telling me about the princess's courage. It inspired me to face my own struggles." The crowd listened intently, nodding as others began to share snippets of their histories, creating a rich tapestry that demonstrated the interconnectedness of their lives. Lydia watched, feeling the power of the moment as voices grew louder, filled with shared experiences that resonated across generations. "Together, we honor her legacy by celebrating our own. This is what community is all about," she encouraged, her heart full as she witnessed the transformation around her. In that moment, Lydia realized how her journey had come full circle, as the princess's story had ignited a newfound sense of purpose and connection within the village. As the assembly continued, Lydia saw a shift in the villagers' expressions. Skepticism had faded and was replaced by curiosity and enthusiasm. "By sharing our stories, we keep her memory alive," one villager stated, a look of determination illuminating their face. Another added, "We have to respect her challenges as much as her triumphs. That's how we honor her legacy." Lydia felt a swell of pride, recognizing that their discussions were beginning to create new paths for understanding within the community. The villagers were now eager to contribute, their voices intermingling with ideas about how to present the princess's story in a way that acknowledged both her strengths and weaknesses. In that moment, it became clear to Lydia that their work was forging a new legacy, one built on honesty, resilience, and a shared commitment to uncovering the truths that mattered. With the excitement palpable in the air, Lydia felt a surge of energy as she prepared to guide the group forward. "Let's start organizing our exhibition. We need a timeline of events and a list of artifacts that will represent the princess's story accurately," she urged, her voice commanding attention. Alan jumped in, already jotting down notes. "We can set up sections for her major life events and include personal stories from the villagers." Others began to gather around, their expressions enthusiastic, eager to contribute ideas and resources for the exhibition. Lydia relished the collaborative spirit that had developed. This was no longer just her mission, but a community effort to celebrate their history. "Together, we can create something impactful, turning our discoveries into a legacy that resonates with everyone," she said, solidifying their shared commitment and planning for the collective journey ahead. As the planning session continued, Lydia felt a profound sense of accomplishment settle within her. The ideas flowed smoothly, each villager contributing insights and experiences, their collective enthusiasm transforming the room into a hub of creativity. "Let's make a timeline," Lydia suggested, envisioning a visual representation that would connect the pieces of the princess's story to their own lives. Excitement crackled in the air as they began to sketch out key events, intertwining local legends with the princess's legacy, ensuring no angle was overlooked. Lydia noticed the way the villagers engaged with one another, respect and admiration blossoming as they recognized the value in each other's contributions. This moment crystallized for her the impact of their journey together. What once felt like individual stories were now weaving into a robust narrative that would honor the past while inspiring their future.